How's it going, everybody? I'm Smoke Over 13, and welcome back to another Carbon's Mic Off. Today's guest, we have Connor Bunn in the house. How's it going, Connor?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing pretty good, man. So, so far with the news so far for NASCAR, it was just announced a couple days ago that Ryan Preece is going to the number 41, and there was also another one with Ty Gibbs going to Joe Gibbs, as we assumed or already known for a while, but he's going to be in the number 54 car instead of the number 18. So, what did you think about that?
Yeah, starting off with the Priest news, I was a little bit surprised. It seemed like Custer was going to get one more year in the 41 is, or at least that's kind of what I thought. And then you could kind of tell towards the end of the year, I don't know if it was just the pressure, but he started running pretty decent the last few races. So that news was a little bit surprising, and the timing of it was a little bit surprising as well. Um, Ty Gibbs, it's an obvious move. I think everybody, they called it the worst kept secret in NASCAR. I think the big thing with that though is it being the 54 car and and Joe Gibbs shelving the 18, which I like because I'm a Ty Gibbs fan. That's my driver, and I wanted them to let Ty build his own legacy in the 54. I was
Mhm.
almost for certain that it was going to be the 18, but I'm glad that they're kind of going to shelf that for a while, let that be Kyle's number and everybody else who's driven the 18. And so yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. Sorry for my lighting, by the way. This is the best I can do with my
It's all
my
good.
apartment. I have
It's
no
all good.
natural light and stuff, but yeah. So I mean, pretty cool for both those drivers. Be interested to see how both of them do next year for sure.
Yeah, like with Ty Gibbs and sadly losing his father when he just won the Xfinity Championship. When he lost his father, we haven't heard anything from Ty Gibbs, as we are respecting the Gibbs family for taking their taking their time and everything as much as they need it. But since Ty Gibbs has been driving in the Cup Series for a couple weeks, pretty much since Pocono back in July at least,
Yeah.
um, and also him doing the Cup races and stuff, which it gives him some practice, get used to the Cup car now. But do you think he's ready for that 54 in Cup?
Yeah, I think this year, I mean, obviously Ty is he's made his mistakes this year in Xfinity and even in Cup, he's made quite a few mistakes, but I think throughout the year he just kind of proved time and time again that he was definitely ready for Cup. I think all things considered, he did a pretty good job in the 45 car, 23 car too. It's a tough situation that he was stepping into. Certainly not something that I don't think anybody would be prepared for. Is you just get a call one evening and say like, "Hey, we need you to pilot this car," and you got to do it from pretty much half a season. So the task that was asked him was pretty difficult, I think, but all things considered, I think he did a pretty good job. Next year is going to be some learning curves. Obviously, there were some tracks that he just hasn't been to yet, and just getting more seat time in a cup car. But yeah, I think he did a pretty good job.
I think the way for him is like, taking this time to get used to the Cup car. And he is, I will admit about Ty Gibbs, even though he's a great driver and a champion now, but he's also he's one of those guys that's like a quick learner. I mean, he basically hopped in an Xfinity car at Daytona road course and ends up
Fixing my
winning the
lighting here.
race.
Yeah, I mean, I know I struggle with lighting in my apartment, but yeah, I mean, he's obviously proved that he can pick it up pretty fast. I don't think anybody would have expected him to just jump in the 54 when he did last year and go out and win the first race that he was in and win four races. I mean, I thought that was impressive alone. So I think
Mhm.
a lot of people think that he was fast tracked and maybe he's being rushed to cup and stuff, but I think he's ready. And they made a good point by saying that if you just wait another year, you're going to give these guys another year to figure out this car. And You want the playing field, I guess, to be as even as possible. So yeah, I think he's ready. I think he's a fast learner. A lot of things are going to come at him quick next year. It's going to be a big learning year for him. But I'm interested to see how
Mhm.
well he can adjust and how fast.
Mhm. And, now with Stewart Haas Racing, getting rid of not technically getting rid of Cole Custer just yet, he's going to the Xfinity Series, and we all know how good Cole Custer is in the Xfinity Series. And he,
Yeah.
definitely gonna go up against for the Xfinity Series, championship. He's definitely gonna be a title contender for sure. Um, but it is one of those deals that we kinda I knew Ryan Preece was gonna be with SHR. He's like the kept secret guy because the guy is a wheel man. Definitely
Yeah.
a wheel man for sure. We have seen how good he is, and, I'm just looking forward to see what he could do in that 41.
Yeah, same. I think Ryan, the thing with him is, he's kind of jumped around. I mean, he was in the Toyota system with Joe Gibbs Racing for a little bit, and then, obviously got that deal with JTG, which, I think any driver you can only do as good as you can in that equipment at the time. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, Priest has proved to be a wheelman. Even when he kind of got demoted, he ran a few truck races and won a few of them and raced really well. So, I think that it's a smart move replacing Custer with Priest. I think you're going to get more competitive. And right now, I mean, Priest just kind of seems to be the better driver. I think Custer's got talent. I don't think Custer is a full wash, and this could be a good thing for him because he could go down to Xfinity, and this could be a second chance to get back in the Stewart Haas ride if the four becomes available at the end of next year. So, he's not quite out of the mix yet. He's still got some life in him in terms of as a race car driver. It's not totally over for him yet, but I think for the 41 car, I think the smart move was putting Priest in the car. And obviously, Tony loves him, and that's Tony's team. So if Tony likes the guy, you can almost bet on him being in the car.
Yeah, and also Eric Almirola is another one too that, he
Oh,
was
good
gonna
point.
retire, then he's like, "Nah, I ain't done yet. I ain't hanging up the helmet just yet," and decides to come back, but, uh, anything can happen in, a season 2, um, because with, like, Noah Gragson had to take over Alex Bowman for a couple handful of races. We all know Cole Custer is running full time in the Xfinity Series next year, but he can also be a backup driver for Stuart Haas or another Ford team for sure.
Yeah, I didn't even think about the Eric Almirola deal. I think they said that it signed like a multi-year extension with Smithfield, but then reports kind of came out towards the end of the year by Jenna Fryer that they were still up in the air about what Almirola wanted to do following next year. So I don't know. It seems to be a little bit of a confusing situation over there, but there's multiple
Mhm,
pathways for Custer to get back into a Stewart Haas ride. I definitely think he'll end back up in Cup. I mean, he's just that talented of a driver. He will
mhm,
find a ride, but I
mhm.
think his best chance is Stewart Haas Racing, just with the multiple rides that are potentially available.
Yeah, and a lot of people, it took a while for him to get another like a top 5 or something. Like he was majority of this season, he hasn't finished in like the top 10 or top 5 or something. And then past couple weeks, he started getting like top 10s and finishing top 5 for a couple races, I believe. And one in his rookie year as a Cup Series driver at Kentucky, which sadly that was the last Kentucky race, unfortunately. And and it was one of those tracks I wanted to go to because Kentucky, that track is probably I'd say about 8 hours away from me, but we would
Okay.
probably make the trip to go for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Kentucky. I think that was kind of on my radar too to go to that track, and nobody really could have predicted that we'd be losing Chicagoland and Kentucky following 2020. To be honest with you, I think with the current next gen car and the package at the mile and a half, I think it put on a pretty decent race at both those tracks. So
Mhm.
it's kind of unfortunate that we're not racing in Chicago or Kentucky, but that win is often forgot about. I feel like it's one of those wins that's just kind of like, yeah, I mean he won it, it wasn't a rain shortened win. He went out and won it, but it was just kind of like a random win, especially in comparison to how he ran that entire season and then in the years following. I mean, he's had glimpses of good races here and there, but they haven't been able to put it together consistently. And whether that's driver, equipment, crew, I mean, it all comes into factor.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's it's pretty interesting.
And and most of the time, and this is a true thing, even Rick Hendrick said this, it takes an organization to win races and championships.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you look at great drivers who have been in systems that just haven't really worked for them. Kevin Harvick, eventually hit a wall with RCR. I mean, I think a lot of times people forget that he went on that big winless streak at RCR, and then they
Mhm.
plug him right into a Stuart Haas, pair him with Rodney Childress, and it all works out. Kyle Larson with Ganassi, they had a good team, but you put him with Cliff Daniels, and he goes out there and wins 10 races in the championship. So it really does take everybody from top to bottom to make a championship come together. And I think that's why it's so coveted, it's so special in the sport. And a lot of people,
Mhm.
unfortunately, in our sport, it is a team sport, but everybody looks at the driver. But you don't see
Mhm.
like the crews, and you don't really. I mean, the crew chiefs do get some light shed on them, but there's a lot of great crew chiefs out there who are working on subpar cars that I feel like here in the next few years that will really come to light. Like Michael McDowell's crew chief this year, who's jumping over to Bowman next year. I think that could be a really good pairing, and I think he could be a really good crew chief. I think when Cliff Daniels took over for um, Kevin Mindering, I believe it was. Everybody was like, "Who's this
Mhm.
guy?" And now, arguably, he's probably the best crew chief, maybe second best crew chief at Hendrick right now. I mean, it's a toss up between him and Allen. So,
Mhm.
yeah, there's a lot of guys that you just don't really think about, and there's a lot of teams that are still yet to be put together. That you pair them with the right driver, and it could be problems for years to come.
Yeah, and also, there's crew chiefs out there that, even if they're paired with a driver that is good, like, to have together, and there's also, it's vice versa. You can have a driver that's with a crew chief that doesn't work well with, or you have a crew chief that has a driver that doesn't work well with, and it takes time. It takes a lot of time to figure things out like that.
Yeah, time, chemistry, it's gonna take some building for, Alex and his new crew chief next year, and I think that's one of the benefits that Noah Gregson and Ty Gibbs are gonna have is they're bringing up their crew chief from Xfinity, which even though it's their first time kinda working on these next gen cars as well, they already have that rapport and chemistry built down with them, so that's just kind of one less thing they have to check off the list in terms of, worrying about getting down. But there's like I said, there's a lot of great crew chiefs that aren't necessarily in Cup Series. Like Jason Ratcliffe, he's crew
Mhm.
chief in Joe Gibbs' Xfinity program right now. Chris Gale, I mean, he got demoted from Eric Jones and went down to Joe Gibbs Xfinity. So there's a lot of guys who get cycled out, and I think it's all about kind of finding that right pairing with the driver. And
Mhm.
once you hit that, like I think Paul Wolf with Joey Logano is way better than Paul Wolf and Brad ever were. Just their chemistry, and
Mhm.
it seems like Logano's and him are able to stay on the same page and be more consistent.
Yeah, and, my friend, Thomas, the one you met at Bristol,
Yeah,
we were discussing about, like, crew chiefs, and, he was like, "Man, I wish Ty Gordon was still crew chief with, was still crew
with Blake.
chiefing, with, Blaney," and I was thinking, I was like, "Yeah, because Blaney won 3 races last year, and that was a
Yeah,
good pairing until
that's
Ty Gordon is
that's the
like,
crazy
"I'm gonna
thing
retire."
is yeah, and Todd Gordon, he came over from, Joey, and they won that championship in 2018. I thought like, this may be the pairing that Ryan needs. Like this may be what puts him over the edge. And they did go out and get 3 wins, and Todd decides to step away. And you could argue this year Blaney probably had about 5, 6 wins that were right there on the table with them. And whether it was crew mistakes, driver mistakes. I mean, certainly down the stretch there in the round of 8, it was more driver mistakes. But there's just something weird about that team that I don't know if it's, you know, the driver needs to see like a sports psychiatrist or something, but it's like they've been right
Mhm.
there. Like I feel like Ryan Blaney easily could have won the championship this year. I feel like they could have won the most races this year. But it's just something like
Yeah,
something little missing with that team, and I don't know what it is because I feel like they are top 3, 4 team put together in the garage area, and it's just so weird to think that they didn't win any races this year.
and and that's the thing, like, with team orders as well with Ryan Blaney because he was faster than Joey Logano at Phoenix, and
Yeah,
Penske came on the radio and told, Ryan to be Joey's wingman and let Joey win the race and obviously the championship, but it would have
wow, I didn't
been
know
a
that.
yeah, I was thinking it would have been a better celebration if Ryan Blaney ends up winning at Phoenix to, at least make
Yeah,
this season a lot better for him. But
yeah,
yeah, and then when after the race was over and Blaney finished second still, uh, Blaney is a really chill dude, even if he's having a bad day or a good day or whatsoever. He's always been a chill guy, but during that interview, he was frustrated, like
yeah,
absolutely frustrated how it went. And I don't blame
yeah.
him. I don't blame the guy.
No, I don't blame him at all either, and it's just it it's like how do you dissect this season if you're Ryan Blaney? Like, is this a successful season? I mean, you were arguably the most consistent driver. You were in
Mhm.
contention almost every single week, but they just couldn't get it done. And who knows? Maybe if team orders didn't interrupt that last race, they could have pulled it off and at least got a win. But,
Mhm.
it's one of those situations where it's like, I feel like it's just such like a small little thing missing from him having no wins to having like 6 or 7 wins and possibly a championship. So, yeah.
Yeah, and Joey Logano won a couple races, and Austin Cindric won a Daytona 500, and honestly, it's one of those situations where it sucks that you haven't won a race this season, and you're that guy and you're watching your teammates win races.
Yeah, and that the Daytona 500 almost, the way that shook out, Blaney could have possibly missed the playoffs. He
Mhm.
was just skirting the line of making the playoffs, and that race could have really messed him up if he didn't, because he got blocked in the wall by his teammate. And I understand Cindric wouldn't have made it had he not made that move. But I think
Mhm.
it's frustrating for Blaney too because I think Penske as an organization kind of wants to hand him the keys to the organization. For Blaney to be that guy. Joey's still relatively young,
Mhm.
but I think it's frustrating for Blaney because I feel like he's supposed to be coveted as like the top guy over there, but that's also the thing with
Mhm.
Blaney is he's too nice of a guy. He's too good of a teammate. Um, I don't know like where he draws the line because it always seems like whether it was Brad and now it's Austin and Joey's still there. It seems like his teammates use him up, and I think it's because he's such a nice guy and he's such a team player that they know they can get away with it. So it's like, where does Blaney draw the line, and where does
Mhm.
he flip that switch to get him over the hill to where he's just a perennial guy who you can bank on going and get wins like every other week, and he's not going to take anything from his teammates. Maybe it's just a Penske thing. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it can lead to anything really. But we all know that Roger Penske pretty much attends every race he goes to. So with that, he's the guy that will give team orders for sure. I mean, he's the
Yeah,
guy that will make calls for the team too. And kind of like Rick Hendrick, and even Joe Gibbs does the same thing with team orders as well. I mean, look at 2020 with Eric Jones and Denny Hamlin at Martinsville. That was the team
yeah,
order issue with a crew
for
chief
sure.
too. And but the thing is with Rick Hendrick, he may have done some team orders as well, but most of the time he just lets his drivers just have it out on themselves pretty much instead of, kind of what's that word? Fixing the race kind of pretty much
Yeah, I
or kind
understand
of
team orders to a degree. Like
mhm
I get I kind of, you got to put yourself in the shoes of the car owner and the position that you're
mhm
in. I understand it, but I do like Rick's approach to just kind of like let him race out. because like how do you implement team orders when you have Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson on the same team? Like, it's tough because you we saw those guys use each other up a little bit this year, more on the side of Larson using up Chase, but that was no different than what we saw with Jimmy and Jeff. You just got two great drivers, and you'd be remiss to ask one of those guys to let up and stuff for the other. So it just kind of comes along with having two really good guys on the same team. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch for a while. I mean, they would just always used each other up for the longest time, and so it's tough to have team
Mhm.
orders, especially when you have such a good driver lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Denny, stuffed Kyle Busch in the wall during the All-Star race, and,
Dude,
if
I can
Kyle
remember.
Busch was like if Kyle Busch was like, "Don't let me near Denny Hamlin, I'll kill him. We had this race won. I had it won."
Dude, I remember that race
Oh,
like it was
man.
yesterday. I remember it like it was yesterday, man. Like that was crushing, being a Kyle Busch
Mhm.
fan for all these years and get stuffed in the wall by your teammate and stuff. That was crazy Kyle Busch days. Like that was peak. Like you could not give Kyle 2 inches on the racetrack and he was going off. Kind of miss that Kyle a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, and when me and Dalton had the conversation about Kyle Busch and, I can't it was something about, like, when Kyle Busch ran into Dale Jr., as a Dale Jr. fan, you're young, you're frustrated about it, but the older you get, you gotten used to it. But you got people that still have, hatred, grudge to Kyle Busch because of that, and other stuff that Kyle Busch has done on the track. Me personally, I don't hate drivers, and hate is a strong word. You can dislike a driver, that's fine, but I just don't dislike any driver really, because honestly, every driver is going to do something controversial in their career or do something on the track that's going to make people hate you. But if they hate you, you're getting attention still.
Yeah, and with the way the sport is nowadays, you have to. You're going to do if you're going to be a driver who's talked about and in contention and stuff, you're gonna have that moment where maybe you're not proud of it, or maybe you've, done something a little bit out of the element. And it's just crazy, because Kyle and Dale have buried that hatchet years ago, and there's still Dale
Mhm.
fans who will not let it go. And there's still guys who boo Kyle Busch. I can't recall the last bad thing Kyle. I mean, dumping Chase Elliott on accident at Darlington in 2020. I mean, yeah, but it wasn't quintessential Kyle to where he would have got out and been like, I don't care. He was very
Yeah.
apologetic about it and stuff. And you do anything to Chase Elliott, and his fans are just going to hate you forever. It seems like, but I feel like going back to Ty Gibbs, I kind of feel like he's on that path, but I feel like it's kind of for different reason. I feel like it's just because he's Joe Gibbs' grandson, so I feel like and maybe we don't know because unfortunate circumstances have happened, and maybe that changes his perception in the fan base a little bit. But I feel like no matter what, he'll always have that asterisk next to his last name just because of his last name. And so
Mhm.
it reminds me a lot of the Kyle Busch situation. Just growing up as a Kyle Busch fan and seeing it, living out those years of when Kyle was the most hated guy and stuff, and now with Ty being my driver, it's just like I kind of feel like I'm going through the cycle all over again. Um, but I hope it's not that way. I hope that I part of me is likes it that way because it's not like I like to root for a villain, but I don't like to root for a
Mhm.
guy that everybody likes. You know what I'm saying? It's just
Yeah.
like I can never be a Chase Elliott like diehard fan. I don't have anything against Chase Elliott. I don't mind seeing him win, but I can never
Yeah.
be the guy with his hat and T-shirt on because I don't know. It just feels like everybody like it's a whole lot cooler. I think when you know you're in the minority. Like they almost booed me out of Martinsville. Like I was the one Ty Gibson fan in the stands cheering.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't really care if who you pull for. Um, I mean, every driver is gonna do something in their career that's gonna make them get cheered or get booed at. It happens, and it's not just racing. It happens in football, baseball, basketball, any sport. And I recall, like, I was in the boot when I was in the stands during the Martinsville race, Xfinity race, when Ty got into Brandon Jones. Um, and everybody was booing. It was one of the loudest boos I heard at a racetrack for sure. Definitely on my
Dude,
list. Holy
you're
moly!
telling me.
And I vlogged the whole thing, what happened, and people
Yeah,
were booing like crazy, cursing him out, calling him like
yeah,
a bitch and all this kind of stuff. And you got those kind of people but you got people that will take it way too far. Like, it's
yeah.
like they want bad stuff to happen to them. And I wouldn't really call them I don't like calling people that wish harm on somebody as fans. I just don't, because
No,
it's not a good look at all. It's not.
no, and yeah, like you said, it's hard calling those people fans because there is a line that should get drawn, and I think the second you start making it personal or bringing up personal stuff or just something
Mhm.
that's completely irrelevant to the situation of what happened on track, like yeah, you can not like what he did on track. I mean, that was a very unpopular move. As a Ty Gibbs fan, I wouldn't have done it that way if I was Ty Gibbs, but I'm not Ty Gibbs.
Mhm.
Um, so I mean, yeah, you can be critical about the move. That's fair and all, but to talk personally about somebody as if you know them and just bring up irrelevant stuff just because you genuinely don't like the guy, that's kind of where the line is drawn. Because yeah, I mean, I've been going to races for next year will be 16 years, and I really have to dig in the memory bank to when I heard booze and stuff like that loud. And it was just crazy because it was an
Mhm.
Xfinity race. Who would ever thought, an Xfinity race? And there's a lot of
Mhm.
there's a lot of that with Ty, but I want to tell you a quick Ty Gibbs story that is completely 180 from what people would think. So I was a Kyle Busch fan from '08 present day. Um,
Mhm.
Kyle was my guy, and so in 2019, I was kind of like, Kyle's getting a little bit older. Like, he's still kind of in his prime, but I should kind of start looking down the pipeline to see who I'm going to pull for. Because the last thing I ever wanted to be was that fan who, when their driver retired or stepped away, or like a situation happened where Kyle is going to RCR now, is to be like, oh,
Mhm.
who do I root for? I didn't want to be in that
Mhm.
in between phase and stuff. So I started watching, Ty's already.
Oh, oh,
It happens.
I
It
was in the
happens, man.
same yeah, I
Yeah.
was in the
And
same way too.
so I started watching Ty's ARCA races and stuff. I'm like, man, this guy's pretty good. And then fall Martinsville 2019, I got hot passes and media passes and stuff. And Ty, I saw him like walking around the garage area. He's just this kid with a backpack back then. Nobody really knew who he was other than the Joe Gibbs Racing employees. And
Mhm.
so I was like, oh, that's cool. That's Ty Gibbs. Fast forward to the pandemic. It's March 2020. Um, I think it was just one random day. I was like, you know what? Like I was working out. It was the only thing you could do. So I was working out in my garage at the time, and I was like, you
Mhm.
know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do 300 push-ups a day. I'm gonna record 100 and post it on my story. So I
Mhm.
recorded 100, posted it on my story. Like 25 minutes later, I get this notification. Ty Gibbs DMs you. All right. He doesn't even follow me, nothing. I followed him and I go in my DMs and he's like, "Yeah, let's go." And I was like, "This is actually like really sick." And then from there through the rest of the year, every time Ty won an ARCA and stuff, I was, tagging him in my stories, like DM like, "Yeah, congratulations, man." He like responded, was like, "Hey, thanks, man," and stuff. So, it kind of draws you a little bit closer to him when, you feel like you have that personal connection. I think that was just really cool for Ty to like reach out. I don't even know how he found my page. I don't recall ever tagging him in anything. Maybe I did, but yeah. So I just thought that was really cool, and it just kind of like it's like it's just way easier to pull for somebody when you feel like you've had a personal connection with them and stuff as well, and to see
Mhm.
where he's come along from that, it's just kind of been cool, and him replacing Kyle is easy transition for me. I know my buddy Dalton, we're both being Kyle Busch fans. He's obviously going over to Richard Childress Racing with Kyle and stuff. But I'm staying right at Joe Gibbs. I always pull for Kyle, but it's a seamless transition for me. So I think that's my Ty Gibbs like cool. That's why I'm a fan story.
Yeah, the thing is about, like, drivers, since I was a Dale Jr. fan, and, when he was and I remember this specifically. At I just finished I graduated from high school in 2016 in December because I graduated early from high school. So 2017, watching through the season, and then Dale Jr. Announced that he was going to retire. He announced it after uh, his radiator or some blew up in his car at Bristol 2017. The race that
Mhm.
Jimmy Johnson ends up winning. And when you get the notification from YouTube, Dale Jr. has announced his retirement for the season. This is going to be his last full time season, and I was like shocked. I was like, "What? Not expecting this to happen." I don't know what to
Yeah.
say. So down that line, I was kind of looking at the other drivers who I want to pull for, and Kyle Larson was there, and he was driving the 42 car. He won Auto Club that season. I was like, I'm going to go with Kyle Larson. Okay, so Kyle Larson what is going to be my driver after Dale Jr. retires. Kyle Larson's 2018 season have good runs, but never could seal the deal to get another W that season. Never won a race that season. 2019 happens, ends up winning the All Star race, then ends up winning Dover. And in 2020, we all know what happened in 2020. Did
Yeah.
the what happened on iRacing, and he got fired. And I was like, man,
Did you think that
I
was
like
it? Did you think he
Larson.
was never coming back from NASCAR after that?
I knew he was coming back because if he was able, if he did the sensible training and revamp himself and come back, I knew somebody is going to hire him because of
Yeah.
what he can do behind the wheel. And
Yeah.
and I was kind of thinking, well, Jimmy Johnson is announcing his retirement. And I said, well, I think Kyle Larson is going to Hendrick. That's the best choice. I know SHR wants to get Kyle Larson, but because of what happened, Ford won't allow it. And I know that really
Yeah.
made Tony Stewart angry. That made him really mad.
For
But
sure.
I already
When you have a
knew,
shot at a when you have a shot at a generational talent like that and your manufacturer
yeah.
doesn't want to back them, that's, you know, rightfully so, but it's got to be frustrating. But anyways, continue.
And I was thinking, he's going to Rick Hendrick because Rick Hendrick's going to offer the most money. He's going to have something to like help him out with sponsorships in order him to get back in a race car to race for Rick. So during that time, I was like, man, I'm going to have to think of another driver who to go for. And then I was like, Alex Bowman would be a good choice because he was handpicked by Dale Jr. He was one of the guys that didn't have no sponsorship, no money really. Ran for 2016 half of the race for Dale Jr. Got his first pole at Phoenix, his home track, and ran extremely well there, and
Yeah.
finished at least in like six or top five or six position. I can't remember, but he got the opportunity to run at the Clash race at Daytona. Finished third in that race. I said, this guy is really good. Like this guy is good. And then in October 2017, he was able to get a ride at Charlotte for Chip Ganassi. Ends up winning the race, and he hadn't raced in months in NASCAR because of that. Ends up winning the race at Charlotte, and I was thinking, this guy is something to really keep an eye on. Then gets the full time ride in the Cup Series for Hendrick in 2018, but in 2019, when he was battling Keselowski, I was cheering him like he was Dale Jr., for example. I was
There
cheering
you
for
go.
him to go to win the race at Kansas. Then ends up winning second for 3 consecutive races in a row. Second, it was like Kansas, Dover, when Truex won, and I can't remember what was the other race where he finished
I can't
second
remember
again.
either. I
but
can't remember.
ends up winning at it ends up leading the laps at Chicagoland, ends up beating Kyle Larson with like 7 to go, ends up winning that race, and I was cheering for him. I was like, this is the guy I probably would go probably be my second favorite. 2020 happened. He ends up dominating Auto Club,
Yeah,
insanely like dominating. Ends up winning that race, and I said this win is going to be very important for his career, and it shows what he can do behind the wheel. Then with Kyle Larson's issue, that's when I went full blown Alex Bowman fan because uh, he's a talented driver, and he's not like his family doesn't own any like corporal like companies or anything. Doesn't have like somebody that owns a lot of companies to get a ride like that. He's just he's like a hidden talented driver, and Dale Jr. chose a guy that has potential to win races, and he shows it. He showed it, and ends
yeah,
up winning 4 races last year.
yeah,
And you know, him taking over the 48 car, which I didn't mind. I kind of wish he had his own number, for his
yeah,
own identity.
for sure.
But Alex Bowman ends up winning 4 races, which is insane for that specific season. And then this year, he won at Las Vegas, and I feel like during the playoffs year, he was showing a really good performance, especially at Kansas this year. I thought he was going to win
Yeah.
Kansas, and and then his accident at Texas. But I think next year with his crew chief may take some time, but I think him and his crew chief, especially since he worked with Michael McDowell, but a lot of
Yeah.
people may not know that he also helped Truex in his championship year.
Okay. I didn't know that.
So,
I didn't know was
yeah,
he like a
help.
car chief on there?
Yeah, he was the car chief.
Okay. I didn't know that.
So
Well, you and I are around the same age. I'm 24. You're around 24, right? 24, 25, maybe?
24.
24. Did being a William Byron fan ever cross your mind? Because Byron is our age, and he's not a Virginia guy, but Liberty and comes from iRacing and stuff like. Did
Mhm.
being a William Byron fan ever kind of cross your mind, or was you know was that completely ruled out?
Well, with William Byron, like, he was running for KBM, and honestly, if his engine didn't blow that year he was driving for KBM to go for the championship, he would have won the championship for trucks for sure,
Easily, easily.
easily. So after that, he decided to, hey, I'm going to race for Hendrick, or race for Junior Motorsports because that was his dream. I was
Yeah.
like, okay. Ends up winning 3 races that year. I know he won at Phoenix, won at Iowa for his first win, and then ends up winning the next week at Daytona. I do remember
He
that.
won. He won Indianapolis
And
too, I believe.
yeah, ends up winning Indianapolis as well. That's one of those wins where just don't really think of, honestly.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then gets the full-time ride in 2018. And I like William Byron. I did see him win at Martinsville this year in the spring.
Gotcha.
Um, which it was one of the coldest races I've ever been to.
Dude,
And
you're telling me, man. Man, it was rough.
yeah, and I could remember the last time it was really cold at Martinsville like that. I think it was like 2009 when it was a race when Denny Hamlin won at Martinsville, but it was so freaking cold that day. But I stayed in the stands the whole time to watch the race because I paid
Oh
my
yeah.
money for these tickets.
Yeah, you got to.
So
I'm staying for the whole race and
yeah,
then some.
yeah. I mean, my dad went to the car because he got too cold,
Yeah.
but where we parked at, he can just walk out the track from the front stretch and just walk up to the gravel road, and that's our car. I mean, he
Oh,
didn't have to
nice.
walk that far. So he
Right,
just stayed in
right.
the car, watched the movie. I was in the stands vlogging and still watching the race. But
Yeah, you gotta
so
stay. I remember. I think. last coldest race that I went to, aside from this year's Spring Martinsville, was 2018 Spring Martinsville when it was the day after it snowed. You remember it snowed out?
Mhm.
Yeah, that race
Yeah,
was pretty cold.
I didn't go to that one. I remember not going to that one, but I
Yeah, well,
remember watching Radioactive.
that one was like it was obviously warmed up because of snow melt, but the thing was with the wind. It was windy as all get out, which made it like it was probably like 39, 40 degrees, but with the wind, it felt like it was like 16 degrees outside. Like it was just like I remember sitting in the stands like shivering, and I was sitting on the front stretch, kind of like right under the awning there up top, and like section
Mhm.
I. And I remember just the
Mhm.
breeze and the wind, dude. I was sitting there like it hit like lap 100, and I was like freezing. I was like, "Oh my gosh, 400 more to go."
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah, and I mean I mean, they did lower the spring race by 100 laps, and it was only 400 laps, and I was sitting there and I was like, "Man, I gotta stay here for 500 laps," and I said, "Wait a minute, they're only doing 400 laps. Dang."
yeah.
But, I
But
mean, I
with it being
stayed,
cold, it felt
watched
like an
William Byron.
eternity.
Yeah, I think the race that felt like eternity was Martinsville in the fall.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like that
Really?
race was an eternity. Yeah, to
See, I thought
me
that race was
because,
a
like,
relatively short one. Felt short to me.
nah, it felt kinda long to me because, like, when you went to the Martinsville race that was only 400 laps, I was like, "That felt really short to me." But, when it hits 400 laps, you're like, "Oh, okay." Then you
Yeah.
got 401, 402, and I'm like, "Ah, crap." But you see, I think the reason that it was so long is because of, like, when stage 2 ends, it was, like, lap, what, 270, 250 or
Some
something?
yeah, the last stage ran really long.
Yeah,
But
that's one of the reasons
you
why
went to
if
the you went to the 600 this year, as did I, and that was like one of the longest races in the history books. What do you think about? I know you had kind of like a heat incident there. I was walking in the track and I saw your tweet. But what do you think of that
yeah,
race? I thought it was a great race. Like I was like
like, on
I remember after stage 3, I
oh.
was like, dude, this is sick. We get one more stage of racing.
Oh, it was the best race for me this year I went to, and besides the
That
Daytona
yeah.
500, but the Coke 600 was awesome. Um, yeah, it sucked that I did pass out, but luckily I was able to get back and, because the people that helped me actually saved my spot when I went back to get autographs.
Oh,
So,
nice.
I went and saw them. So I saw them, and they're like, "Hey, you're alive," and all this stuff, and I came back, and, I said to anybody walk by or pass by, and they're like, "Nah, you're good." And I was like, "Oh, thank you. Thank you." And, but I wasn't able to get my Truex and Denny Hamlin car signed at the time, but I ended up meeting, like, I did meet, Steve Phelps there, Jesse
That's cool.
Iuji, and I met so many people, and including, WWE superstar, Lacey Evans, which that was really cool.
Did it not feel like there was always a WWE superstar involved in like a pre-race this year? I feel like the WWE superstars came to a handful of races this year, which is cool. But
Yeah,
like you said, I mean that Steve Phelps is a really nice guy too. I Where did I meet
yeah,
him?
absolutely,
Bristol?
and,
I think
like,
Bristol. Yeah.
he yeah, like, Steve Phelps just start coming out and start talking to the fans, and, I was like, "Hey, can you sign this hat?" And, that was a real big deal because, and the funny thing is a couple people didn't even recognize him, and, and I was like, "That's Steve Phelps, that's the NASCAR president." And they're like, "Oh, shit." So I gave him my hat and signed it and get him to sign it. He signed it, gave it back to me, and then when I stopped recording at that part and I cut it off and I was like, "Holy shit, I got the president's autograph, NASCAR president's autograph. That's awesome." And, and then, now when the driver showed up, every single driver showed up, I had to put Patriot music over it for the vlog because it was
Yeah.
wild. It was that's what I did. I put, you ever watch YouTuber LA Beast?
Mm-mm, I've never heard of him.
He's a competition eater. like a competitive eater and a
Okay.
multiple Guinness World Record holder. And every time he vomits in his video, he plays patriot music.
Oh, okay.
And so I had to put that song over the drivers because it was perfect. It was amazing. And even though I didn't get my Denny Hamlin and Truex car signed, but I had my hat tatted up that day.
Yeah, I saw it. I
Tatted
watched
up.
your vlog. I watched your vlog. Dude, like I said, I've been going to races 15 years. That might,
Mhm,
actually not might have. That is the best race I've ever been to in my 15 years of going to races. Like, I don't know how it looked on TV. I haven't gone back and watched it yet, like on YouTube. But just from
mhm,
being there in person, it may be because I was also in an area where I've never watched a full race before. I was standing on top of a school bus, like right there in the middle of turn 3 and 4, like right there on the
mhm,
fence too. Um,
mhm.
and I stood up there on the bus and watched all 600 laps. So, maybe that had something to do with it, but I just thought the racing was so sick. And like, I think the second best race I probably ever went to was the 2019 Daytona 500. I just had a really good time at that race. But I thought this year's Coke
Mhm.
600, I remember I was walking out with my buddy Nathan in Dakota, and Dakota was like, "What do you think, man?" And I was like, "Dude, I think that might have been the best race I've ever been to." Like that, I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I'm just having recency bias, but thinking back on it, I was like, man, that race is so fun
Yeah, it's definitely one of my all-time favorite races I went to. Probably the best race for this year, like,
for
for all the
sure.
races I went to this year alone. Definitely the best one, and, I mean, Daytona 500, that was the first time I've ever been to Daytona and had the best time of my life and met so many drivers, met Alex Bowman, Kyle Busch, um,
Nice.
met so many people, and the thing is about meeting these drivers are good people. They're really nice people,
Yeah.
and a lot of people may say like, "Oh, he's a dick and all this," but they're good people. They're nice people. Like, and,
Yeah. No,
I could
they're really good dudes.
understand people saying like, "Yeah, like, they're great dudes," and, like, I can understand saying like, "This guy's autograph is hard to get," which I can understand that because it took me a while to get Denny Hamlin's autograph for sure. Like, it took me a while, and
Dude, I
luckily I
didn't
was
meet
able to get it.
Kyle Busch until this year at Bristol. Like 5 minutes before I walked up and talked to you was the first time I ever
Mm,
got a picture with Kyle Busch. I've been a Kyle Busch fan since '08. And it's just like it takes a
mhm,
while, but he was really
yeah.
nice. Like he obviously did his Toyota appearance, and I was like, "Hey, can I get a picture?" He's like, "Yeah, sure," and took a picture. And I was like, "Wow,
Yeah,
like I waited 15 years for this."
yeah, and, like, um, who else? Like, Tyler Reddick is a great dude,
Oh,
but,
Reddick's awesome.
when like, Tyler Reddick's a great dude, and, I think I was at Pocono or something or Daytona, I can't remember, but somebody we saw Austin Cindric, and, somebody came up, next to me, said, like, "I'm gonna be honest, Austin Cindric is an actual dick," and somebody also said that about Tyler Reddick, and I'm like, "I don't know, I
Mm,
only met Tyler Reddick, never met Austin Cindric. I seen Cindric, but never met him," and, but, like, Alex Bowman's chill, always chill, Ryan Blaney's cool, always
yeah,
cool, like, sometimes these drivers it's their I mean, signing autographs is also a thing they should do, I mean, it's their job too, but,
yeah.
because of sponsorships and being great to the fans, and,
Now I will say the one driver who I've had multiple like experiences with where I walked away every time saying like, "Wow, he's an asshole," is Kevin Harvick. He did
yeah, like Kevin
he
Harvick.
pulled the most dickhead thing ever, in my opinion. So Martinsville 2019, I think he's walking to the it's like early morning. We're already in the garage area. He's walking in under the tunnel and everything, and he was kind of walking by himself. His PR guy was like 5 feet away. And like I looked over and I was like, well, there's Harvick. Like, nobody's really bothering him right now. So I walked up. He's walking in his fire suit, and I was like, "Hey, Kevin, can I get a picture?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." He keeps on walking. I hold my phone up like this to take a picture, and he ducks under my phone and keeps walking before I even get the camera on. And his PR guy is just laughing. And I'm like, dude, you're an asshole. But then when the NBC cameras are around, he acts like this nice guy, and that's what I don't. That's
Mhm.
what I can't stand. Like he acts like he's like for the people, but that's like the second time I've had like a bad Kevin Harvick. I remember what was the other time? Bristol in 2019. He was just like standing kind of near pit road, and I was like, "Hey, Kevin, can I get a picture?" And he just looked over and just like looked at me and then turned his back to me, and I was like, "Okay." I was like, "You could have just said,
I th
no, no, I'm busy right now,' but you just looked at me for like 5 seconds and like turned around. I was like, "Okay,
I think he was, like, ready for, like, the camera to be shown, like, at that moment, but
dude."
I don't know, some can happen.
Well, that's the thing is like I was like, well, maybe he thought I took the picture, but he knew I was trying to pull up my camera on my phone, and then when he ducked under, he kinda, like, looked
Mhm,
back at his PR guy who was already laughing, he, like, did this, like, asshole-ish smirk, and I was like,
mm,
"Was that ne" like, you coulda told me, you coulda been like, "Nah," and I'd be like, "Okay, cool, like, I don't care." But the fact that you were like, "Yeah, sure," and as soon as I pull up my phone, you duck under my arm like
mhm,
a fucking limbo, and then give me,
mhm.
like, this smirk, I was like, "Alright, dude, well, I really don't care if you ever win a race again, like, I just don't. I don't care about it. And some of my friends are Harvick fans, and they've said they've had great experience with them. So it might just be the time you catch them. But I don't know. That's just one driver I've
I could
not had a
think of
good
one
experience with.
I could think of one person on the top of my head, Dakota Rutledge.
Dude, Dakota, yeah, he's met him a few times. My friend Ian, he's met him a couple times. They said he's like really nice guys. Like he sat outside the hauler and talked to him and stuff. I was like, well, you're probably 'cause you're wearing a damn Harvick shirt. But I don't know. I
Like
mean, I guess there's factors into it, but, like, Reddick I've met on multiple occasions. Every time I met the dude, he's just a super nice guy, will give you all the time in the world as long as he,
mhm,
is not in any rush and stuff. So, like, I admire guys like that who are for the fans and will actually, like, stay and, wanna talk to you or at least wanna listen to what you
mhm.
have to say and are receptive and stuff.
Yeah, kinda like how we stayed after the Martinsville race, hoping, Christopher Bell would go up and talk
Right.
to the fans in the stands until we got kicked out, but, like, I mean, I have met Christopher Bell, twice, and he's a great guy too.
Yeah, very
Um,
nice.
I never and speaking about Kevin Harvick, I'm gonna have to try to meet him soon because since I saw him win at Richmond in the fall this year, and I'm getting
Yeah.
his diecast, so, I mean, it's one of those situations where, I can try and meet him, hopefully, try to get his autograph, but, he also signs autographs, especially diecast on the roof pretty much because it
Yeah.
decreased the value, but to me,
One
I mean, it doesn't bug me really. I
one guy
mean,
who I've
it
heard is
it's not
tough to like he's not necessarily rude, but he doesn't really
mm,
give you much time and he's quick to sign as Larson. Like
yeah, like,
he'll sign for you, but he won't like talk to you, you know? He'll just be like you can get a quick picture and then he's gone. I've heard that.
he did say something. He did say something to me, at Richmond.
So what do you say?
I
Because I
gave him
saw
my
I saw
cell
your video. I saw your video and he like had a swarm of people around him.
yeah, he said, "It's dead." He's talking about the Sharpie.
Oh,
The silver
it's
Sharpie
dead.
died.
Oh,
But, he's like, "Can I could sign it in the black Sharpie," and then I had to, like, be quick, and I was like, can he use your Sharpie real quick and sign my car?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure," and he used it, and he signed it, and, Cliff Daniels strange enough, the Sharpie worked when Cliff Daniels signed the rear window on it.
that's weird. He said it's dead.
It's dead. So, I was like, and that's where I met, like, William Byron for the first time, and, I met Chase
Okay.
Briscoe twice. He's a good guy too,
I
and,
never met Briscoe.
he's a cool dude, and, I'm trying to think who else did
You
I
met
meet?
you met Chastain yet? Chastain's a really good dude.
Yeah, I met Chastain, he's a good guy. Uh, I did meet Kyle Busch the second time at Richmond. He didn't look too happy, um,
Yeah.
but he still signed my hat, but, I mean, I was like, it's kinda back in my mind, I was like, "Man, I shouldn't bug him." because he didn't look too happy, but, I mean, he still signed it for me. But
Yeah, that's a
what
that's the
was
thing too.
really
I don't wanna seem like I'm bugging these guys.
yeah, like, that's me, personally. I just don't like, um I hate asking drivers to sign my stuff,
Yeah,
but the other thing in the back of my mind, I'm like, "Well, you don't know if these guys are gonna be racing the next anything
true.
can happen on track,
That's
and,
true.
it could be the last time you'll see these guys." And I was kinda like I was it was pretty cool seeing, because I met Harrison Burton, and, I didn't keep it. When I went to Darlington, I met Harrison Burton when he was doing the Ford display thing
Yeah,
and decided to get down and sign autographs, and I didn't have anything for him to sign. I didn't even get the, Cookout Southern 500 hat because I knew I wasn't gonna meet pretty much, like, any drivers really that year,
yeah.
that time, and, so I only had a body armor bottle, and I had him to sign that for me, and I just
Okay.
gave it to Thomas. I gave it to Thomas to give it to his dad, pretty
Nice.
much, like, "Hey, just give this to, your dad or something."
Is his
But
dad
I
a,
already had his sign
is his dad a
his
Harrison Burton
his
fan?
dad he likes Harrison Burton because of I mean, the Burton brothers are from where I'm from. They're from
Yeah,
South
South
Boston,
Boston.
Virginia,
Yeah,
and, and he always liked Harrison Burton because he's a Burton, and, but he's a big time Chase Elliott fan, and,
gotcha.
his well, he was a big he is a big Bill Elliott fan, then likes Chase Elliott, and,
Okay.
yeah, his name is Thomas as well. I mean, that's his dad's name and his
Yeah.
name too, but we call him Old Dog. That's his nickname,
Okay.
and I mean, Old Dog's a trip, man. He is hilarious too.
Thomas is a
So
little funny himself. I was watching some of your videos. I think it was might have been the Bristol one. You guys were like getting ready to leave or something, and you're like, "How you feeling, Thomas?" And he was like shit, had too many IPAs or something last night, or something like that. Like Thomas is funny, man.
yeah, here's a little secret. We have the same last names, but we're, like, not related because 'cause we've been best friends
Really?
since, pre-K. Been best friends since
Okay.
pre-K, and, we have the same last names, but we're not related, but we always say, like, he's my brother or something or cousin.
Yeah, I mean, you could easily assume that. I feel like every race you're at nowadays, he's with you and stuff. Or
Yeah,
the
yeah.
funny dude with the Denny Hamlin cowboy hat.
Oh, Chris, my homie Chris,
Yeah.
man. He's
Yeah,
something
Chris.
else.
That guy's pretty funny too.
Yeah. Oh, man. So I got a funny story that I gotta tell you what happened at Darlington. So, um, when we were walking around Darlington and, I got stopped by, I can't remember his name, uh, AJ Millenbrand, and, I signed his, program, the Darlington program for him because at the time I was dealing with some, personal issues and some mental health issues at the time,
Yeah.
and, this was during, I think the Cup race that Sunday. Yeah, oh, yeah, it was Sunday during the Cup race, and, Thomas and you probably seen it during the vlog or something, but Thomas's belt was hanging off, and, me and Chris's girlfriend was taking pictures of me, Thomas, and Chris, and and Chris was just over here touching the belt, like, holding it like this, and Thomas is like this, and I was looking at it, and, I was like this, like, looking it's so funny. Thomas is such a funny dude, and Chris is one of the funniest dudes ever, and,
Yeah, cause didn't you get him that damn Denny Hamlin cowboy hat at Bristol Dirt, and then he wore it to the Coke 600, and by God, if Denny didn't go out and win the damn thing,
yeah,
or something like
yeah,
that. Wasn't it like
I got him
Martinsville
that
or
hat.
Bristol you got him that hat?
I think I got the hat at, uh, Martinsville, I think? No, Um, I think it was yeah, it had to have been Martinsville
Okay.
'cause, it was either Martinsville or something, and, got him that cowboy hat, and, you watched the, Dalton Good, interview, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and, I explained the story about how Chris was so drunk seeing his favorite driver win at Darlington and ends
Yeah.
up becoming the first guy to fall asleep. That happened, and then he ends up seeing, and then the guy yelling at him in the car at Charlotte after Denny Hamlin won the Coke 600 and saying
Yeah.
all this and, "You get pegged by your own wife," and all this kinda stuff, like, oh my
Jesus.
god. And, you see, Chris is a musician. He has a band called Blue Drive, and he
Okay.
goes out, performs. He's getting up there for sure. He just posted, like, 2, 3 songs already on the, YouTube Music, and Apple and all that.
Okay.
So, yeah, he told me his album is coming out sometime in January, and he
That's
said, "This
awesome.
time we're taking our time to do this one for sure." And, he and with him traveling, I mean, Chris and Thomas, uh, especially Thomas, like we just during I think it was the Pocono trip or Darlington trip. I can't remember. It might be either Darlington, I think. I can't remember. But it was the trip where I pushed the cart for Thomas to put his stuff on the cart. Opens the door, hits the cart into the wall, does it again, and I couldn't stop laughing. Like I was laughing my ass off. And I hit my leg on, like, the coffee table in the hotel, like, it hurt, and
Yeah.
I turned around, and I look at the couch, and he took the freaking couch pillows off and put it on his bed, I was like, "What did you do with the couch pillows?" And he put them on his own bed,
Yeah, man, Thomas
and
is funny in the videos. He doesn't even really try. It's just the way Thomas carries himself. I find is really funny, especially just some of the things he says because he just seems like so nonchalant, just happy to be there.
yeah, and I remember this specifically at Charlotte. I was recording him, he's like, "Charlotte," I was like, "Thomas, what are you doing?" He's like, This, this mascot's looking at me funny, I'm gonna pick a fight with him." And he started slowly approaching, and, he looked at the camera and he's like, "I ain't gonna fight, there's too many kids around. He can live another day." He's a he's a trip, man.
Speaking of fighting,
I
I know
love
this
that
is
guy.
I'm just a little bit of like the opposite direction from NASCAR, but you're a big WWE guy, I would say, right?
Yeah, big wrestling guy.
Yeah. So, what do you think about Logan Paul's kind of ascent in the company right now?
Well, I watched the match he had with Roman Reigns, recently at Crown Jewel, and honestly, he's when he said he's taking his time to learn and practice, he legitimately takes his time and learn to practice, and
Yeah.
he actually did a pretty good job in the ring, surprisingly, and, most of the time, like, a celebrity gets into wrestling, it's like a one match
One-off
deal kinda
deal.
thing, like a
Yeah.
one-off deal kinda thing, but Logan Paul legitimately signed a contract and did training, like, has been training now, but he's hurt now, what I found out, but
Yeah, I
he
saw
actually
he
did a
really
pretty good job.
Yeah, I see, I don't really follow, like pro wrestling or anything like that much. I'll hear about it here and there from my friends, but obviously I know Logan Paul and stuff, so I've, like, kinda dabbled around, watched a few of his matches, and, I watched WWE as a kid and stuff, and, like, watching
Mhm,
some of Logan's matches, I'm like, "This dude is actually, like, really talented." Like, he's, like, actually
mhm,
really good. He's got, like, good ring form and everything, and I was listening to
mhm,
his podcast this week, and, he said something about Cena coming back towards the end of this year, early next year, and kinda making another WrestleMania run, potentially his last one, and they were saying, he was saying that he kinda threw it out there, like, maybe it'll be Logan Paul versus Cena at WrestleMania on Logan's birthday in LA
mhm.
and stuff too. So I think that would be actually a really cool match. I would actually like to see Logan kind of be like a full-time face in the WWE. I think it'd be like kind of cool to see because at first I was like Logan Paul in the WWE, but then watching him in the ring, I'm like he's actually like really talented. He's been working with Shawn Michaels too, like training with them.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I mean, with him being a like a controversial figure, but he's gotten better. He's matured a lot better over time. And honestly, them prime drinks are pretty good. They're
Dude, they're
pretty
really
damn good,
good.
actually.
They're really what's your favorite
And
flavor?
I only had two of them. I had the orange one and the blueberry one. Both of them are really
Okay.
good.
Yeah,
And
I like the lemon lime, and then if you can find it, it's kinda hard to find depending where you go. The, um the red, white, and blue one, the ice pop, I think they call it. That one's really good.
uh huh.
If you can get your hands on that one, that one might take the cake for you because that one is really, really good.
I mean, I do like red, white, and blue drinks, especially them Smirnoffs. But
I was about to say, you Smirnoff guy to the red, white, and blue Smirnoffs?
yeah, not seltzers. I don't like seltzers at all.
Nah. You also
And hold on.
like Jack Daniels and stuff, don't you? And, like, whiskey and all that.
Yeah, I do like
Hey, there you
Budweiser
go,
too.
Bunn. Old Bud guy.
I like Budweiser too.
There you
But
go.
I've been working out like crazy, and I haven't drank a beer in months and all that, which I'm doing good. And just drink a lot of water. But those prime drinks are really good. Plus, it's only 25 calories. I need
Yeah,
a
they
target. I wish I have a freaking Target like 5 minutes from my house because that's where I get them. But I
yeah.
mean, the closest Target I have is like 40 minutes.
Yeah, we got one, like, probably I live in downtown Roanoke, so there's, like, one, like, 10 minutes from me, but they also have them in my Kroger. One Kroger around here, like, one of the 3, they carry a lot of them and stuff, but I've never
Okay.
seen them at, like, Walmart or any I always just see them at Target and one of the Krogers I go to and stuff, but yeah, they're really good. They're really good and, for it being no sugar and stuff too, like Gatorade, they're so sugary, I mean, it's like you might as well eat a candy
Yeah.
bar, in my opinion, and that's a lot of
Mhm.
calories, but yeah, the prime drinks
Yeah.
are good, and, fitness, that's my whole thing, like, that's I work in the fitness industry and personal train and all that, so,
Mhm.
um, so that's my thing, so if you can find a drink like that, man, I'm all for it, I love those.
Yeah, and when cuz like I'd take a Powerade every morning plus some hypoglycemia, which is a low blood
Yeah,
sugar condition. And I'll drink a Gatorade or Powerade sometimes, but I was like, man, I need to get some stuff that's like hardly any sugar or anything like that. And
yeah,
because like I always drink water all the time, and then I try those prime drinks. I like those, and I do like Body Armor a lot, but it has sugar in it too. But I do
yeah,
enjoy a good Body Armor every once in a while.
the Body Armor lights are good. I forget the one flavor that, it's got, like, no sugar. It might be the mango? I don't know. I can't remember, but those are pretty good. Do you like Mio? Have you ever tried, like, Mio in your water and stuff?
I tried it when they first came out. I had the fruit punch one.
Okay. Yeah, the newer ones, they make some now that's, like, electrolytes plus energy, and it's, like, no sugar or no calories. Those some of the flavors you get in those are pretty good. I think when I last time I was sick, I got, like, a raspberry flavor, and it was actually really delicious. So, because I drink a
Mhm.
lot of water too. That's like I don't drink soda, I don't drink alcohol or anything, so I
Yeah.
sometimes I like a little bit of flavor, and so the Mios and the Primes, they really do it for me.
Yeah, like, I haven't drank like a straight alcohol drink in months. Like, it's been months. And like for sodas and all that, like I legitimately quit drinking sodas for a while, and then they had free soda drinks at work because of the Thanksgiving dinner we recently had. I was like,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
nobody's gonna really drink these, so I was like, man, they got Coca-Cola, why not? I mean, season's
Yeah.
over for NASCAR, why not drink one? And I like a good cold taste of a Coca-Cola too. And I do like sweet tea a lot, but that has a lot of sugar in it. But I just love sweet
Yeah.
tea a lot.
Being where you and I
But
are
I
from,
mean, I couldn't.
sweet tea dominates.
Yeah, sweet tea is it's a southern thing. I mean,
It
why
is a
not?
southern
I
thing,
can't
man.
resist a good. I couldn't resist a good taste of a sweet tea.
See,
So
I grew up in my
we
household, it
actually,
was always sweet tea and some sort of soda, but I don't like either one. So it was like I was just
yeah,
water's all I had.
Yeah, but I always drink water since I've been working out. I lost like 40 some pounds already.
There you go, man. There you go.
Yeah,
It's
and still.
it's that first 20, that first 15, 20 come off easy. You can keep it going from there. That's pretty impressive, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, and thank you. And especially what I do for my job and you're lifting heavy stuff all the time.
Yeah.
That also works. That's like my kind of like my before my pre-workout pretty much before I
There
get
you
into
go.
like the actual weightlifting and all that kind of stuff. It's like a
Yeah.
warm up kind of thing.
There you go.
And so that's one thing. I've been going to the gym since March and
Okay.
been doing pretty good. Haven't been in the past week or two because of dealing with some stuff, doing some stuff, and working like crazy. It's getting close to the holiday where it's getting a lot more busy now,
For sure.
and but but yeah, it's been going pretty good. Built up a pretty good relation with the gym I've been going to. Talked to a couple people I know over there, and went to school that were both of my teachers in high school and like middle school and all that. They be going there working out, and I'll be talking to them, and because it's been
Oh, that's
so
cool.
long since I've seen them, and they were asking what I've been up to, and I said I've been working and doing NASCAR content for YouTube and all that kind of stuff, traveling around out of state to go to these tracks and going places.
Yeah, man. How
But
many races did you go to this year? You went to a ton of races this year. Aside from just NASCAR, like the
27.
South Boston race. Yeah, that's man, that's a lot. That's a full-time schedule.
Yeah, pretty much 27 some races, including through all three national 3 top national series in NASCAR. But if I'm gonna count, like, South Boston and Motor Mile and all them, which the Motor Mile
Yeah.
vlog hasn't been posted yet, but, and I got one more South Boston vlog I need to post soon. Um, I say it's probably about 34 at least, probably 34 races.
Ooh. See, that's one track I need to get back down to is South Boston. I haven't been in a few years, but I love that track, man. Motor Mile is only like 30 minutes away from me, but I've never been to Motor Mile. I want to go to Five Flags for the snowball
It's
derby, but that's a little bit of a reach.
Yeah, and the thing is about Motor Mile is really fun, but it's not like how it used to be. It's one of the it's such a cool short track. It is a really fun short track to watch a race, and but it's just not how it used to be. Because one year they lost the contract or something expired for them to have NASCAR affiliation for one
Mm.
season, and just hasn't been the same. And just, just how it went, and I was pretty bummed when I went, but I had some crazy footage from that race. I actually saved all the footage that I recorded from I think it was back in June when I went, sometime around June when I went to
Mm.
the race, and, it was pretty wild. It was a temper moment that happened in the race that I caught on film. That was pretty wild.
Oh,
So I haven't
nice.
posted that. So before I post the last 2 race vlogs that I got. That's what I'm gonna do, the, 2022, crash compilation, my perspective for all the
Yeah,
crashes I have caught on camera.
you're right.
So, yeah, and, I think it was heading towards Pocono, I think, or I can't remember where we were heading to. I think it was heading to Pocono or Dover, I can't remember, but we actually went through Roanoke, and I never been through Roanoke the first time,
Hey,
and
it's my stomping
we were
grounds.
Yeah, and we were on, like, the interstate. I think we were heading to, Dover, I think, and, I saw a building in Roanoke that was kinda interesting and that I wanted to know. It was the St. Andrew's Catholic Church.
St. Andrew's Catholic Church. I think I'm looking at it right now outside of my window. If it's the church that I'm think it is, I can
It's
literally
got,
see
like
it out.
it's, like, kinda like a yellowish building, yellowish
Yep,
and,
yep, I'm looking at it
black,
right now.
uh
Yep,
yeah. and I was looking at it, and I was like, and where we were on the road is like it's like the tallest, um, one of the tallest buildings you can see, like it's on a hill or something. You're looking at it, and
Yeah,
it's like, that's kind of interesting. So I looked it up and want to know about it. It's like the oldest Catholic church in that area.
really. I see. I know Roanoke's
Yeah,
a pretty historical town, especially the downtown area, like where I live. It's kind of historical. It's tough to open businesses here because everything's so like it's got that like nostalgia value and stuff. So it's just hard to do stuff. But yeah, I mean, Roanoke's a cool place. It's a great place to raise a family. Not really much here for young people. Um, but yeah, I mean, Roanoke's got some cool places. The Roanoke Star, the churches and stuff are cool. It's just kind of like a cool small town to drive around and see like the historical buildings and stuff. I know a couple of my buddies who came up to Martinsville for the first time in the fall from Georgia. They kind of wandered around Roanoke a little bit, just exploring and everything. So yeah, Roanoke's a cool area. And if you're ever through again, yeah, you should definitely stop and hang out for a bit because Roanoke's pretty cool.
yeah. Uh, I think what was that big building? There was another building we saw. I think it was like an art museum or something.
Yeah,
It was like
the
a
weird looking, like, building downtown, yeah, it's the
yeah.
Taubman Art Museum. I've
I
actually
wouldn't
never been
mind.
in there.
I wouldn't mind checking that out too.
Yeah,
Um,
I run by it every single day, but I've never been in there. But they have, like, events in there and then, like, local art pieces and stuff as well. So it's a pretty cool like, from the outside, what I can see in, it looks like a really cool building. And then there's this one building downtown, it's called Center in the Square. You can get on the rooftop, and you literally get, like, a rooftop view of all of, like, Roanoke, like, a full, like, pan 360, and there's, like, a koi fish pond up there, and stuff. A lot of people like to go up there and
oh,
take
that's
pictures and
cool.
everything. It's pretty yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty good, especially at night too.
Hmm. Especially the koi fish. I wouldn't mind
Yeah.
catching one of those.
You know Cozy you know yeah, I know, right? You know Michael Cozy?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he goes to the Martinsville race, he stays here in Roanoke. He drives here to Roanoke and stays at, like, a hotel, like, probably, like, 5 minutes away from me and stuff, and then drives to
Mhm.
Martinsville because it's only, like, thir what, 35, 40-minute drive at most from here to Martinsville. So,
Mhm.
I watched some of his videos too, and he's like, "I'm staying in Roanoke," and I was like, "Oh, man, I know exactly where you're at."
Mhm. I met
So,
him at Richmond in 2019 in the spring, and I can't. I think it was Spencer with him. I couldn't recognize the guy, but he was with him, and he, I'll tell you what, Michael Cozy Jr. is a really chill dude, really a nice guy. But when I met him for the first time ever, he is small. He is a really
really?
small guy.
Yeah, he is. I've only
Yes.
met him, like, one time formally. I've talked to him a few times, like, over the internet and stuff. I only met him one time formally. It was at Martinsville in 2019. He is a short guy. Really nice dude, though, super down to
Yeah.
earth.
Oh yeah, and funny dude too. He's really funny.
Super funny, super funny.
Yeah, and I always liked his humor and been a support of him always. So for quite some time, we were kind of planning the schedule with me, Thomas, and Chris, trying to thinking of like schedule for next year. Um, I already pretty much posted my list on the tracks we want to go to. Pocono is a 50-50 chance, but
Yeah.
even though me and Thomas went to Pocono for the first time, but he said that it's not just like the racing that was fun, but it was like the scenery in Pennsylvania that was beautiful. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't mind
yeah.
going back to Pocono for all of that because it was fun. And the way how we stayed at the hotel and how places were at Wilkes-Barre slash Scranton area, they're like built on mountaintops, like
Oh,
cut
wow.
mountains and all that. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool, and it's really scenery. The scenery is beautiful, and we even went through West Virginia for a little bit too, and see what
Yeah,
that's like because I never been to West Virginia.
ain't nothing there, buddy.
So,
Nothing there.
so, like after going to all those, just going to Pocono, and Pocono has one of the nicest facilities, one of
That's what
the
I
best
hear.
facilities ever. And
That's what
it's
I hear.
so easy to get. and it is so easy to get NASCAR driver autographs for sure because I was impressed on how easy it was because all the
Mhm.
drivers got to walk down that way for autograph alley. That's the only way
Yeah.
they can go to the pit road and stuff. So it
That's
was
where you
worth
finally
going
got
for
Hamlin,
sure.
wasn't it?
Yeah, I finally got Hamlin's and Truex's.
Yeah, you had to put the I think you put the patriotic music over that, right? When you got Hamlin's finally?
Yeah, and Truex's.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, and that was the first time I ever met Hamlin. But my coworkers got invited to the Martinsville Fall Race for the Cup race, and they had a special invitation to meet Joe Gibbs and Denny Hamlin. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
I gotta know the Denny. I gotta know the Denny Hamlin diecast. Y'all don't mind if y'all take for me and get that one signed? They're like, yeah. So I gave it to them. Got it autographed by Denny Hamlin. I was so happy, and I told them, I hope y'all get invited again next year because
Yeah,
by the time hopefully I get my other Denny Hamlin diecast to get that autograph.
for sure. For sure. Yeah, actually, there's a funny after Kyle won the championship in 2019, you know how Joe Gibbs does his like ministry type deal thing, where he goes and
Mhm,
kind of does like a devotion and stuff. It was like a week after Kyle won the championship. I was interning at our local radio station, and I came into work, and they were like, "Hey, you know, Joe Gibbs is going to be here tomorrow, right? Like at the Salem Civic Center, which is like 10 minutes down the road." I was like, "Really?" They're like, "Yeah, he's doing his like little
mhm,
ministry thing." And I never met Joe before. They're like, "Yeah,
mhm,
sure, I'll go check it out." They were like, "Yeah, we got a table reserved. You can go." So I went and they catered breakfast and everything, and met Joe. Like he was signing autographs and handing out free books. His book at the end of it too. And Joe was a
oh,
he's a really nice guy.
yeah, I can find it. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. He sounds like the little booklet and gives it to you.
Yep. Yeah. So he was signing
Like
and
it's
stuff. I
he
we
signs it.
Yeah, we took a picture and everything. It was really cool. I was like, oh dang, what are the odds of that? Joe Gibbs coming to a small town of Roanoke, Virginia. That's kind of odd, but we'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those deals where like I actually met Joe Gibbs twice. I met him at Pocono. He signed my Truex diecast too,
Nice.
and he signed my hat at Richmond. He gave me another one of those things, but I gave my autograph booklet to Blue Jimmy um, when he went to
Uh,
Richmond for the first time. So it was a good time.
yeah, nice.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, it's somewhere under there, but I ain't pulling that out.
Yeah, hear you.
But uh, yeah, but the thing is about meeting Joe Gibbs. I mean, Joe Gibbs is a great guy, really nice guy to meet, and I think for next year, I really want to go back to Dover again because I had a great time there. Um, but we're definitely going back to Martinsville for sure. Then we're
Oh,
gonna
have
try to
to.
go to Atlanta for
Nice.
the first time, and go to Talladega for the first time.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about my list uh the other day. I was like, I need to make it. And stuff I know roughly in my head where I'm gonna go, but there's also obviously some possibilities on there. Definitely both Bristols, Bristol dirt and concrete. Um, both Martinsville, so that's four right there. I'll be at Coke 600, Darlington, Spring. I know for sure I'll be at. Maybe Darlington Fall too. We'll see. Um, maybe Richmond,
Mhm.
and maybe Atlanta, maybe Talladega as well. So I could have a lot of races on the book for next year, but I know I'm confirmed for like seven. I could say for sure. We'll see how the rest fall.
Yeah, like I just booked my hotel room for Charlotte and Darlington in the spring.
Nice.
We weren't planning to go to Darlington in the spring, but uh I was kind of thinking of like the racetracks that because I was thinking like, Darlington Spring was actually really fun, this season,
Yeah.
and it was a great race. It was a fantastic race,
Oh, yeah.
but we went to the Southern 500, and that was a good race too, but I was kinda thinking, I think the spring race was better. I thought it was better than
Yeah.
the Southern 500. So I was
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
I'm gonna get tickets
I
for that.
I enjoyed both races. The spring race I watched from the outfield, bleacher seats in Wrigley Field at the Cubs game. I was in Chicago at the time. Oh, I'm going to Chicago Street Course. That's another one that I'm going to, next year. My buddies live up there in Chicago, so
I wanna go too.
me and Dalton are gonna go up there for like I think the whole week leading up to the street race, and then kind of spend the Fourth of July week slash weekend there. But yeah, I was watching that race from the bleachers at the Cubs game, the spring
Mhm.
Darlington race, and stuff. I missed bits and parts of it and stuff, but I even enjoyed the fall race. I think the car put on a hell of a race there this year, both tracks. Same with
Mhm.
Kansas.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to go to the Chicago Street Course race. Plus, the company I work for, is based in Chicago, and,
Right.
I do know my HR, is slowly becoming a racing fan because of my channel and stuff,
There
and,
you go.
I told him about it, and I said, "I would love to go to Chicago, go to that street course race," but, I don't think it's gonna happen, though. But
Yeah.
are you and Dalton are flying to Chicago, right?
Yeah, I would definitely fly. Definitely.
Yeah, and I was like, "Man, I really wanna go." That would be a fun place, and also Xfinity is racing there too, so that'd be fun.
Yeah. Well, Chicago's a good time, man. I mean, I've been 3 times now. Um, I went obviously back in May, and then I just went in September for my buddy's wedding. I love Chicago. Dalton's first time in Chicago was for our friend's wedding too, and he was like, "Dude, I love this place," and stuff. So I know we're really looking
Mhm.
forward to that. I think the Cubs are in town that weekend too, and Dalton's never been to a major league game, so I think we're gonna take Dalton to a Cubs game. I think they play like Thursday or Friday, and then we'll probably catch the Xfinity, obviously, and Cup race. But we just don't know where we're gonna
See,
sit yet.
see, that's the thing because I would love to go to a Major League Baseball game too myself.
Yeah, I mean
I've never been
that
to
was
one, I
our
would
thing
love
is
to.
like it was like might as well make a whole like trip out of it. If you're gonna spend the money and go to Chicago, you might as well make a
Mhm.
whole trip and see the Cubs while they're in town and stuff. Because that was actually my first major league game too, and I had a blast. I was on Mother's Day. It was cool. Um, so yeah, we're just gonna make a whole week out of it because I mean, if you're gonna, I don't know what the plane tickets are gonna be, but I mean, if you're gonna fly up there, you might as well stay a few days. You know what I'm saying? So that'll
Yeah.
be like my big trip of 2023, probably, unless something crazy pops up.
Yeah, I would love to go to Chicago one day, just one day. Um,
Yeah,
the because like, going to these places for a guy like me, one, I'm not that big of a city person because where
yeah.
I'm from and stuff.
Hell
So
no, it's
it's
like
different.
no city down there.
It's like it's it's like because where I'm born and from a small town and doing crazy things here. We're sweet tea drinkers and beer drinkers and stuff like that from here.
Yeah,
You know, and then we went to up north in Pennsylvania and Dover, and a couple people told me like people up there are different compared down here and
yeah,
stuff. I'm
man.
like, I figure they are. They are different.
Yeah,
But
I've been kind of all over myself a little bit. I remember like the first time I really like kind of traveled and got out there. It was like a big culture shock to me because I was kind of partly raised before my grandparents had custody of my brother and I. I have a twin brother, by the way. We look nothing alike,
okay.
but we're twins. So before that, I was being raised in a trailer park in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And so we moved up here, which also isn't a big city, but I remember like 4 years ago was my first time going out to
Hmm.
LA and spent a bunch of time out in LA and Vegas and stuff. And it was just like it's completely different culture. Like I was like shocked, just how people
Hmm.
move in different places, even like from here compared to New York, compared to Miami, Chicago. LA, it's completely different everywhere you go. And then, being from a small town and stuff, you're just like kind of taken back a bit.
Yeah, cause like, when I went to Charlotte, North Carolina, like, I've been to Charlotte many times, but we never I seen the city, but we never really drove into the city until we
Yeah.
went to the NASCAR Hall of Fame, and, yeah,
Uptown's
it
beautiful.
was different. Yeah, like, it was different because, like, you're not used to seeing skyscraper buildings in person or any of that kinda
Yeah.
matter, and, you're getting used to what the city life is pretty much, and,
Yep.
went to Florida, where we went through Jacksonville. Um, I went to
Hate
Florida
Jackson.
twice. Went to Florida twice, but Jacksonville, big city, but we went through Daytona and, went to Orlando before, and, you're getting used to seeing these kind of people and, getting used to it, and,
Dude, Jacksonville's a shithole. Like, that place is
it's
like,
rough.
at least yeah, the first 500 I went to in 2019, I had a rough time. Minus the race, I had a rough time. We got down there on Friday night, and we went out to
Mhm,
eat somewhere near Jacksonville Beach. Well, we go out to eat, we go go-kart racing, we get back, and then I wake up so Saturday, we're gonna wake up Saturday, go to cup practice, go to cup practice and the Xfinity race and everything, and then obviously go to cup race on Sunday. Well, I woke up Saturday, I was puking my guts out. Got food poisoning on Friday night. Was
mm,
completely bedridden all day on Saturday. Note that Jacksonville, the city in general, just smelled like shit. And like we were staying literally downtown Jacksonville, like 2 blocks away from the Jaguar Stadium. And so I was like throwing up all day, felt like garbage. Woke up Sunday, just felt good enough to go to the race. I mean, I was gonna go regardless. Like they would have had to push me in there on a casket. Like I wasn't gonna miss that race. But I felt like good enough to like function and stuff. So I go to the race and everything, had a good time at the race, didn't really, like, feel bad, but I guess just kinda still being, like, sick and being out in the sun all day. As soon as I left the track, like, as soon as I walked out of the track after, like, Hamlin won and everything and got in the car, I completely blacked out. I don't know how I got back to my hotel. I don't know how I got into my room. I think at some point we stopped and ate at, uh Olive Garden, but I didn't eat. I kinda remember, like, waking up and I was laying in the booth at Olive Garden, and then the next thing I
mhm.
remember is waking up Monday morning and being like, "Where the hell am I at?" It was so weird,
Mhm.
dude. Like, I don't remember a single thing from getting in the car after that race. Like, just completely blacked out.
Yeah, Daytona was a really fun trip, and that Sunday for the Daytona 500, that was also Thomas's birthday, and, uh
Nice.
and, after that race, it was dark, heading back to the, beach house, like the shore house or whatever, where we stayed, and, I was like, "I wanna see the ocean at night and walk on the beach," and, I didn't tell Dalton, I forgot to tell Dalton about this, but, it was dark, we see people with flashlights on the beach and stuff, and, that's when I told Dalton we got chased by a crackhead that night, and, we eh, before we get to that part, but we saw and this is one of the strangest things, like, some shit you see in, like, Twilight Zone or something,
Yeah.
but there was this, like, 2 people wearing, like, black outfits, like, you see, like, some shit you see, like, in cults and stuff, like, black outfits,
Right.
and pushing a baby cart, just a baby stroller on the beach. Those
What
2
the
people
hell?
left, and the baby stroller was there, and then that's when we got yelled at from this dude far away chasing us, and, Thomas Tom even though Thomas is a big guy, so he had to figure out something. So he
Yeah.
ran straight up to the beach and hop over the fence, and he said he stepped on something, hurt his foot. I
Mm.
hauled ass all the way back to the hotel room, and when I was running, like, I was fast as fuck, running like
Yeah.
hell, I was trying to realize, like, damn, did we really walk this far away from the hotel room? Like,
Right.
damn, I didn't expect we walked this far, but I got up there, and this is like some horror movie shit right here, but my car key won't work. My
Oh,
card
of course.
key won't work to open the door. But luckily there was somebody in the at the pool, and I was like, "Hey, can you open this door? My car key won't work." And we were getting chased by some crackhead on the beach. They're like, "Yeah," and and then in that kind of situation, we Southern boys like figure somebody's yelling at us and running towards us. That's the time to go. And
Yeah.
also things that don't look right to us. That's when we suspect something. But you see, when that dude was running towards, that dude was yelling at us. That's when Thomas hauled ass,
Yeah.
and that's when I start hauling ass. I was like, "Oh shit, something's up." So we were running. I almost fell because because I was running so fast. I almost fell over, and so that night slept, got up that Monday morning, went home, and I called my mom. I'm like, "Hey, we're doing all right. We're kind of like halfway to Darlington, South Carolina. That's where we're gonna stay for the second night, and like
Yeah.
we got chased by a crack kid. Just letting you know, but it was all good. But
Yeah, dude,
so
everybody's got a
when
Florida man story.
Yeah, and so but when the guy opened the gate for us, and he's like, "Don't let that dude back in," and I'm like, I looked at him like I was dumb. I'm like, "I ain't letting him in. Hell
Hell no.
no." And then Thomas was able to run from the sidewalk, like go from the sidewalk and all that, and he run to the parking lot where the car was, and I try to call him to make sure he's all right and make
Yeah.
sure he's good. And he's like, and I saw him. He was like, "Yeah, I'm good." And he said he he saw a couple dudes on a couple people riding their bikes on the street, and Thomas was like, "Yeah, don't go on the beach." And they were about to head to the beach, and Thomas told him, "Yeah, don't go on the beach. There's some crazy crackhead dude chasing people, and we just got chased."
Dude, that's crazy. What beach did you guys stay on again? You guys stayed on Jacksonville or Daytona?
Daytona.
Okay. Yeah, see, the first time I went, we stayed at Jacksonville, and then I went back in 2020, saw Newman take a race car to the head, land right in front of me. But we stayed in New Smyrna Beach. We got like an Airbnb at New Smyrna Beach at this like really nice house. It was a very quiet area. It was actually really nice. So if I ever went back to the 500, which I do want to do, I would definitely either want to stay on Daytona Beach, but I understand getting a spot that time of the year and the weekend is very tough. But I wouldn't mind staying in New Smyrna. We're only
Mhm,
20 minutes from the track, 20-30 minutes. So, but yeah, dude, everybody's got a Florida
mhm.
man story. I've got quite a few Florida. I've been to Florida so many times.
But, but what was cool about going to Daytona, especially the 500, uh, we met people from, like, Canada, especially Quebec, Canada, and,
Yeah,
and, people from California. Met this, mother and daughter from California. They were really cool, and, we met somebody inside the Daytona track at the gift shop, the big gift shop they had, and
yeah.
we asked him, "Where y'all from?" And, he said, "Sunnyvale," and I was like, "Yo, you from Trailer Park Boys."
Sunnyvale Trailer Park, baby.
I I love Trailer Park Boys, man.
Dude, let me tell you, oh my God, that is like the group chat I'm in with Dalton and stuff with all my boys. We call it the Dega Infield Trailer Park Boys, and all of us kind of resemble a character from Trailer Park Boys. So I resemble J Rock and stuff. But yeah, dude,
Yeah.
trailer Trailer Park Boys is like our shit. Like that's been our group chat name for like 3.5 years now. I love that show. That's awesome that you know that show. Yeah, dude, I love that show.
Yeah, Thomas is Ricky for sure.
Oh,
Thomas is
for
Ricky,
sure. For sure.
and, like, J-Rock is hilarious too, especially, when, Ricky, Bubbles, and, was it, Julian open up the door,
Yeah.
and J-Rock was with the picture. Yeah, that was like it was such a funny that was a funny show. And then I asked them like, "What character do I resemble?" And they're like, "Sam Lasco." They're like Sam.
Fucking Sam Losco, man. Yeah, they were
Mhm.
instantly right off the bat. They're like, You're definitely J Rock." And I was it just that one scene from J Rock always gets. I mean, there's many. I mean, it's countless. But that one scene that I always think of that gets me is when he's picking up the cats. He's like, "Oh yeah, raising the kitty roof. Oh yeah," and he's like
Yeah.
dancing with the cats and stuff.
Yeah.
I love that. I even now I remember when I first saw that show. I was like a sophomore in high school, and I literally binge watched like all 12 seasons within the span of like a
Yeah.
month and a half. I got hooked on that show
Yeah.
so much. I love it.
Yeah, and, I always like when, the Trailer Park Boys mess with Mr. Leahy, and the one scene from, Mr. Leahy that always gets me every time is from the Trailer Park Boys movie, is when Bubbles and, Mr. Leahy were discussing about something, and, he's like, Miss I can't remember what Mr. Leahy said, he's like, "I am the liquor," or something, and he
Oh
chugged
yeah,
a
I am.
whole bottle of whiskey,
Yeah,
and he walked back to his car, and Bubbles is
yeah.
like, "What the fuck?" Oh, man. And I saw a Mr. Leahy shirt I wanna get where he says, I'm the liquor," or something.
You gotta get it, man. Dalton just sent a
God.
picture in our group chat the other day. He was wearing a Sunnyvale Trailer Park hockey jersey. You remember when Ricky started up the hockey team in
Yeah.
Trailer Park? Yeah,
Yeah.
Dalton got one of
Yeah.
those jerseys.
I like how Ricky went back to went back to the, jail cell to play hockey against the team and it won.
Yeah, I know. He was like they were letting him out early. He was so pissed off that they were letting him out because he wanted to play hockey. He wanted to stay and play in the
Oh,
hockey tournament.
and, I like the green bastard. He's like, "Who are you?" "I'm the green bastard."
Dude, so the company I work for is like a training facility, and like our colors are like black, green, white, gray, and we have like these green suits. And so when we have like events, like we have people getting the green suits. So the last time I got in it, I was acting like the green bastard. Like I was like, "Oh, you fucking want one?" I was acting like green. Nobody understood what
"You
I
want one?"
like. None of my coworkers understood like what I was referring to. But I was like, man, I was like, I'm the green bastard. They're like, what the hell is that? I'm like, fucking want one? I'm like, Corey, Trevor, get in there, you alien looking fucks. Love it.
I like Corey and Trevor because they have, like, simple jobs to do, but they always fuck up.
Always fuck it up, and they're always the one who takes the shit for like Ricky and Julian
And
and
they
Bubbles all
always
do
get
something
blamed,
slimy. Always get
and
blamed, always have to
and they
take the fall.
they always have to do community service, and,
Yeah.
I remember one episode I remember one episode, I they're like, I remember one episode, I think they were stealing stuff for Ricky's wedding or something at the grocery store, or, like, convenience store or something. They're like, "Alright, we need snacks and everything." Ricky was in the seat, like, sleeping in the car, and then, Ricky woke up and went in the store while his friends are, uh, robbing the place, and they
Yeah.
start shooting each other. Ricky and
Dude,
they're like, oh man, it was great.
you remember that one scene with, like, Phil, like, what Phil used to do, and it's the one scene where, like, Corey is working at, like, the convenience store and fucking Julian pulls up in the shitmobile with, like, the wing on the back, and he's doing the burnout, and Corey's like, "Bam!" and stuff while he's doing the burnout. To this day, when I'm at a NASCAR race and they do the burnout, I'm in the stands going, "Bam!"
Yeah, and, I like, what Ricky's teaching, his daughter, especially when Ricky, had a flat tire in his car, he said, "All you gotta do is just count the lug nuts on it and just find the spare tire on somebody else's car and take it. That's how you can tell they're, good Samaritans out there."
That show, man. Anytime you can find somebody who's watched Trailer Park Boys, that's a good time. Yeah, because not many people. I mean, a lot of people have seen the show, but I've never really come by many people who've watched the show. So that's awesome, man. I'm glad you've seen Trailer Park Boys. I can always kick it with some Trailer Park Boys.
And, yeah, Thomas is a big fan of Charlie Paul Boys for sure.
Hell
He's
yeah,
a
man. That's
big
awesome.
time. Yeah, I always loved Trailer Park Boy he's the one Thomas is the guy who got me into Trailer Park Boys, and,
Really, what'd you think of it the first time you watched it? Were you like, "What the hell is this?" Or were you just immediately laughing? Because I love raunchy like comedy like that.
Yeah,
because
I do too.
growing up in a rough setting, like, I kinda grew up in a rough household for a little bit, so I can kinda, obviously
Mhm.
not to the extremes of what went down in Trailer Park Boys, but, like, I find it funny just because like, situations like that have been, like, kind of, like, similar in ways of just growing up partly in a trailer park. So it's just like, I immediately found it hilarious, but I've shown some of my friends before, and they're like, "This is not even funny." I'm like, I feel like you have to be a certain breed of individual to, like, find that, like, comedy funny.
Mm.
And here I
Yeah,
am, yeah,
because
I'm one of them.
cause like, where I'm from and all that, there's trailer parks, close
Everywhere.
by, I have family members that lived in trailer parks as well, like, in a
Yep,
trailer and staying there and all the time and talking to people there and all kinds of
yep,
crazy stuff going on, and,
yep.
the first time I started watching it, I was like and the first time, like the first season is funny, but once you get to the later seasons, it gets a lot more funnier, for sure,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Even the movies. The
and,
movie I remember the what was the first movie? The Christmas one or something? That was the first movie I watched, was the Christmas movie, and I remember laughing
mhm.
that my ass off during that movie.
Yeah, the first one I watched is when they robbed that big money thing in, like, the theater, like, at the
Oh,
movie.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really funny one, and, but, I'll be watching clips from, like, TikTok or YouTube or something about the show,
Same.
and one of the first clips I watched was so funny is when Ricky went to school or something, and he's
Mm.
like, "What the hell are they teaching these kids now?" And he's showing he's, like, ripping these signs off the walls and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you're on Instagram or anything. I follow a few pages. One of the best ones is, like, called, like, Best of Jim Leahy, and it always just posts, like, Trailer Park Boys clips, like, daily or, like, every other day, and every other day I'll, like, see one, I just
Yeah.
laugh at it.
I always like Mr. Leahy. Rest in peace to the actor who played Mr. Leahy too.
Oh, man.
But man, Mr. Leahy is one of the funniest characters for sure. And
A genius, man.
yeah, Trailer Park
Genius.
yeah, Trailer Park Boys is definitely a really funny show. And like I'm a big South Park person too. I like when
Gotcha.
like comedy going insane. Like I mean the whole purpose of South Park, it's supposed to be stupid to make you laugh is the whole point of the show.
Yeah.
And it works really well. And it's so hilarious to watch. And
Yeah, see,
I also like
I never
Family
got into
Guy.
South Park. Yeah, I never got into South Park or Family Guy. I was a big, like, King of the Hill guy. I
I
love King
like
of the
King of the
Hill.
Hill. I love
I
King of the
love
Hill.
that show. I just never really got I watched a little bit of Family Guy here and there, and not as much South Park, not really trying to avoid it or anything, I just never really sat down and watched it, but I love because I used to watch WWE SmackDown as a kid, and then right after SmackDown, it would either be The
Mhm.
Simpsons or King of the Hill, and so I always
Yeah.
watched King of the Hill. I love that. I just love that show.
Like, if you ever get have you ever watched the NASCAR South Park episode?
No, but I've seen bits and pieces of it with, like, Danica and everything, and Matt Kenseth and Jimmy and stuff. I've seen bits and pieces. I never watched the full episode.
Sit down and watch the whole episode. Once you start watching it, you're gonna wanna watch more episodes of South Park, and, I
Okay,
could
for
give you,
sure.
like, cause like, I mean, that episode alone is hilarious as a racing fan. The wrestling
For sure.
episode, they did is I mean, South Park is a show that is they make fun of people for sure, but it works and it's hilarious. So funny.
Gotcha.
Um, the Family Guy deal, like, I like older Family Guy because it's funnier and it's funny
Yeah,
instead of the newer episodes, but South Park is one of those shows, like, if you sit down, we'll just watch it you'll laugh your ass off for sure. Like,
timeless.
one of the episodes, Stan had to teach the Pee Wee hockey team to play and all this. They're like 3-year-olds playing,
Yeah.
and, one of the guys, like, said, "Our team quit playing the hockey game," and, and, no, hold on. Stan's Pee Wee team had no game to play because the other team quit, like the other Pee Wee,
Okay.
hockey team quit. So
Yeah.
one of the managers for the professional NHL hockey team, he's like, "Your team could take our, spot and play against the Detroit Red Wings." The Detroit Red Wings destroyed the destroy oh, man, it is hilarious.
I
It's dark
remember
too.
the one Family Guy episode that I remember watching that stands out to me was the one where Peter rides the damn shopping cart off his roof. And it's a Jackass
Oh,
episode.
the Jackass when they did, like, Jackass stuff.
Yeah, and he rides it off the damn roof, and then his neck bone is sticking out or whatever. I remember laughing my ass off at that in like 2009 watching that. That's the one episode that really sticks out to me.
And what's funny about it is, before they started doing that, they watched Johnny Knoxville in that episode. He's like, "Hi, welcome, Jackass. I'm Johnny Knoxville, and this is a shotgun blast to the face." He got
Yeah,
shot.
a shotgun
And
blast.
and before the roof shopping cart, he's like, "Lois, what are you doing?" And Peter is like, "Go back in the house, Lois. We're being jackasses."
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it.
Oh, man, I love Family Guy and South Park. South Park is definitely my favorite because of the humor they made, and oh,
Yeah.
yeah, you need to watch the South Park Kanye West episodes for sure. Those are hilarious.
I've seen bits and parts of one of those as well, but yeah, I do need to, especially now that the NASCAR season's over. I need something to get me through the wintertime. Everybody's telling me to watch Yellowstone, but I'm not sure that's like my
Yeah,
type of show. So I don't know.
well
I've got a few shows that I need to check out.
right now, I've been binge watching, Game of Thrones, and I'm on season 5 at the moment, and what I'm
Gotcha.
watching, I am enjoying it. I love the show so far, and it's so good,
Yeah,
and,
that's another show
it's what
somebody mentioned down at the bar to me last weekend. They were like, "You gotta watch Game of Thrones," and I was like, "I feel like I'm so behind." They're like, "Well, the show's over now. Like, it don't matter how behind you are. You need to start watching it." So I was like, "Oh, I might check that one out." So
Yeah,
there's like 3 or 4.
it gets slow, but it gets slow, but it gets a lot better through the seasons, and, I'm just gonna give you a warning, do not get attached to any characters.
Okay. Alright. I'll keep that in mind before I watch
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Nice.
it is a
For
really good
sure.
show to watch too,
Sure. Sure.
but, so personally, um, since you live in Roanoke and I live in South Boston, have you been to Danville, Virginia?
Yeah, but briefly. I know it's
Yeah,
a rough area. I've been there, like
yeah,
I've been there, like, I would go every year because I played high school basketball, and we always played Danville, or Dan River, which is in
or
Danville, um, and so I
mhm.
was like I've been there briefly, but I've never spent an extensive amount of time in Danville.
Yeah, yeah, because I remember story you told me about your experience in Danville after getting food and parked and all that.
Yeah, yeah, I was coming back from a concert and got cookout, and it was like 3 AM, and I was just eating it. My friend and
Mhm.
I we were eating it in my car, and like some
Yeah.
person came up and like was like I was facing my friend, and he was like, and I look over and like this person like tapping on my window and stuff. So I immediately my car was on, just the lights were off, so I immediately threw it in reverse, backed up, and the person like slapped the top of my car, and I just like whipped it out of there and sped down the road. I think I got like probably like 5 or 6 miles down the road. I was like panicking, I was shaking. I didn't even have my headlights on. My friend was like, "Oh, you gotta cut," because
Mhm.
I was like, "Why is this road so dark?" Because a lot of those roads they don't have like street lights or whatever. So I was like, "Why is the damn road
No.
so dark?" My friend's like, cut on your headlights." I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't have my headlights on, dude." I was freaked out. I got home like so fast after that. I was like, "We're not stopping anywhere. I'm just going straight home." I kind of had the same thing
Mhm.
leaving the Bristol night race this year. I was gonna stay the night at Cody's house and leave Sunday morning, but I was like, after the race, I stuck around for about 2.5 hours. I drank a Rowdy Energy, and I was like, I feel good enough. Fuck it. Why don't I drive home? It's only a couple hours. So I got on the road at like midnight and or like close, probably like close to like 1:30. And I was like,
Mhm.
damn, I gotta pee really bad. I drank a ton of water that day and like two Rowdy Energies. I was like, I gotta pee so bad. So middle of like nowhere, I stop at the Sheets, and I didn't know, not a Sheet, it's Shell Station, and like
Mhm.
nobody's there but like two cars. And when I walked in, everybody was just like acting so sketch, and like even the workers were just acting like sketch. And I felt so nervous, dude. I was sitting there peeing. I was like shaking and stuff. I was just like wanting to get the hell out of there. And then I was walking out, and one of the dudes was like over there by the gas pumps, but he had no car around him. He was just standing under like the awning where the gas pumps are and just like staring at me. It's like 2:48 in the morning. And I was like, "Oh my god, I
Mhm.
cannot get in my car any faster, lock this shit, and get on the road." I don't even know where I was. Like it was the first
Mhm.
gas station, but yeah, I was like, "Fuck that." It reminded me of my Danville incident.
Yeah. Um, Pretty much around here after dark, um, pretty much after around here after dark, our Shell station stays open 24/7. Our Sheets, I meant, Sheets stays open 24/7. And for some reason, you got people posting fights at our Sheets, like,
Of
pretty much every
course,
weekend.
of course.
Like, every weekend, like, "Why you fighting at a Sheets? Y'all gonna kick each other's ass and get a slushie afterwards or something?"
Right, right. You at least couldn't have taken it to Walmart
Like
or something.
like, you see, man, I like when Walmart was open 24/7 because I could just get my
Yeah,
stuff and go. And,
yeah,
also, that's another thing about Danville, Virginia. I do not like going to Walmart at night in Danville
no,
because it's sketchy, very sketchy. Uh, but sometimes in Danville at night, some areas are really sketchy because, especially the old part of Danville and a couple streets in Danville. But, like, going to, because you went to the cookout and you parked at the theater, right? The theater
yeah,
parking lot?
yeah,
Yeah, so, like, I mean, I've been to the theater at nighttime for sure, but, I mean, at the time, it was a lot of people there anyway when we went.
right. Yeah, it was completely
So,
vacant.
yeah, so, I do remember one time when me, Chris, and Zach, and a couple other friends, we were going to Taco Bell, and this was, like, at midnight at least, I say, probably midnight, and, we got some food, and but here's the thing, the Cookout, Taco Bell, and even Chick-fil-A at the time always stay packed because 'cause they're, like,
Yeah,
the only last couple places that stay open,
for sure.
in that area. So, but we got our food and having a great time, just chilling and everything, but you'll be seeing a crap ton of cars at their Sheets in Danville. Like, it's a
Yeah,
lot of, you know, some suspicious stuff going on over there, so it
for
was
sure.
kind of yeah, Danville is a dangerous place to go to. Here, Sheets is
Roanoke
pretty
crime's
much
kinda
the only
gotten up lately.
mm,
Like, it hasn't been
yeah,
like, it used to not be that bad here, but the unfortunately, the homicide rate has gone up here since mid 2020. It's like some places here, it's like there's this one stretch of road here. It's almost like Danville. It's like you do not go there after dark. Like, don't even drive your car down that road and stuff because there's always
mhm,
sketchy deals, people getting shot and stuff. Even sometimes downtown, like I live downtown, and sometimes there's like big fights or a stabbing or a shooting at one of the clubs and stuff. It's ridiculous how the crime's gotten here for such a small town.
mhm, 'cause, like, um, South Boston, and this is crazy because, the crime rate, like, murder rate and violence here has gone up a tad bit now down
Mm,
here. And,
mm,
the thing is about South Boston, especially at nighttime in South Boston when it's, like, after midnight, pretty much every place that you see and go to is like a ghost town, pretty much,
hmm.
except for the place Sheets. Sheets stays open 24/7, but that's,
Yeah,
like, one of the only places that will be a ghost town because me and Thomas and who I ever am with or whatever, it's every place is closed. Nobody's there. Like hardly
yeah.
no cars are there in the parking lot or anything.
I'm
But
surprised places like that stay open after dark. There.
yeah. Um but the thing is about it is like the violence and stuff. like, we had a couple violent actions down here that happened, like, in the morning
Mm,
sometimes.
damn.
And, one time there was a, I do have a story about Danville, but in South Boston, there was, somebody got, 2 people got shot because those 2 people, like, the youngest person, this happened in Centerville, Virginia, which it's like it's pretty much connected with South Boston, pretty much, and
Mm,
it's where the Walmart is and, all the places are at, and, they were shot and killed at the tobacco store because the guy pulled a gun on him, ends up shooting him,
jeez.
shooting the, 2, people, killing them, and I got a friend that worked at the family tree, and she, said she called my mom telling her what happened, and that's when, they were dead on the sidewalk.
Jeez.
So, and they had a getaway
Oh,
driver too, and the getaway driver
yeah.
drove away. And I was in
Oh,
town. I was at like right front of. I was at like the Hudson Mill area, which it's like 3 minutes from Family Tree, like 2 minutes from
okay.
Family Tree. And then that's when I posted a tweet like there's like a shooting going on, and then there was a active shooter kind of like going on in Hubs Mill one time, and I was near that area too. So
Mm,
I posted that tweet saying like, if you're in that area, stay away, just in case, stay away because it's dangerous. But Danville recently, after the Xfinity Martinsville race, we stopped at the Firehouse Sub, which it's in the mall parking lot at in Danville, and cop cars were going fast, passing us like crazy. We stopped at the Firehouse Subs and got our subs, and then we went back to Thomas's house. His mom actually walked out and told us like, "Did y'all hear what happened?" And we're like, "No, what's going on?" She said that there was a homicide at the Danville Piedmont Mall.
mm, damn.
So we got lucky. We got real
Yeah, I
lucky.
had something like that happen to me, in 2020. The day after Christmas, I was returning a pair of shoes to the mall to get another pair, and,
Hmm.
I lived right by it at the time, and, I took my shoes back, I got the shoes I wanted and went home, and I was like, "Oh, shit. They gave me the wrong size. They gave me a size 11, I'm a size 9.5." So I went back, got the right size, and then I, like, left. No, I lived at the time, like, 2 minutes from the mall, and I get to the stoplight turning into my apartment complex at the time, and, my brother called me, he's like, "Hey, did you hear what happened?" I was like, "No, what are you talking about?" And there's cop cars flying by me and stuff, and they're like, "Somebody's just started open
Hmm.
firing at the mall." And I was like, "Really?" I was like, "I literally just left there 2 minutes ago, like, just left there." And he was like, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
think somebody, like, got in a fight or something," yeah, it was literally, like, I guess as I was pulling out of the parking lot, like, somebody was open fire inside the mall and stuff, like, and they shut the mall down, like, it was on lockdown for, like, 6 hours because the suspect was still at large, and it was just crazy. I was like, "Damn, I'm glad I got out of there when I did." It just kinda put things full perspective. I was like, "Holy shit, man. It's crazy."
Yeah. Um It's wild, and especially for, like, me and Thomas and Chris going all these places, you got parents worried about you going out because it's difference between going out and staying home, being at home.
Yeah,
Home is the best feeling ever, and
for sure.
for us going out to these places that we're not familiar with, yeah, it's worries. They do get worried about it, but,
Yeah. You ever plan on
we
leaving
always have
Danville
each other
or
backs.
South Boston? You ever plan
What's
on
that?
moving out of South Boston or and stuff and moving to, like,
Yeah.
another area or a bigger city or something?
Yeah, I was thinking about moving out to like Charlotte, North Carolina to pursue NASCAR, like a
There you go.
NASCAR future for sure.
Yeah.
But I also would like to move to Tennessee, like Johnson City, Tennessee,
Yeah.
because
It's a great place.
I love I love Tennessee so much, man.
Yeah, it's a good place,
So
especially Johnson City.
mhm, and, because personally, as much as I love Virginia and all that kind of stuff, like, I don't mind living here, like, I don't mind because it's a small town and,
Yeah,
been looking for a place to live, um, trying to find a nice little place to live, and I
okay.
told my parents that when I move out of this place, move out and live at this place, number one thing is I'm getting a dog.
Hey, man, there you go.
That's what
There
I
you go.
want, and
I'm a
and,
cat guy. I got cats, but they're like my best buds.
yeah, and I saw one jumping behind you
Yeah,
earlier.
this is pretty much their apartment. They just let me live here pretty much. So they just kind of wander around and do their own thing and stuff. But yeah, they're all that was like I got my cat like right before I first moved out and got my own apartment. So I
Mhm.
was like, that is like I always said like that's the number one thing I'm getting when I move out. And I got it like a couple months before I moved out and stuff. But yeah, man, you gotta get you a little pet.
Oh, yeah. Have, like, a little companion co-pilot.
There you go. Keep you occupied stuff.
So
Dogs, man, dogs are crazy. It's almost like having a child.
this first step.
Yeah, I
It
guess so.
it's pre-learning,
Yeah, pre-learn.
but, I always loved dogs. Always we always have dogs most of the time. I mean, we had
Nice.
cats in our life, but I always been a dog person for the rest of my life,
Yeah,
and, yeah, I always wanted a dog another dog for sure. So, um, because like, with me doing YouTube content and stuff, I pretty much can do, I can still do the same thing, is still doing NASCAR content for sure and posting
yeah,
vlogs and videos and stuff. Um, so it's kinda like a decent, and I got a pretty decent following too, but it's one of the situations like, you can move to Charlotte and try something different, but in
yeah,
another situation, I feel pretty, comfortable where I'm at now.
yeah. My thing is I think a big part of life in general is getting out of your comfort zone. Like we're all comfortable
Mhm.
in the town we grew up in, and I think that little bit of uncomfortability and stuff is good because it'll push you and take you to new like limits that you just didn't think were there for yourself. Um, I did
Mhm.
I made NASCAR content for a while and like posted on YouTube for a while and vlogged races and stuff and kind of fell out of it. But that's also something I wouldn't mind getting back to. I just kind of it's one of those things where it's like I don't know how to revisit it. Like I don't know the best way to just go about it.
Yeah, and also that's a good thing to say because of, getting out of your comfort zone because when COVID hit, um, and man, it sucked because I couldn't go to a race. Like, I was so sad, and
Yeah.
it hurt, but I told my family and friends, like, "Hey, in 2021, we're going to so many races."
Yeah,
2021
rebound
happened.
year.
I went to yeah, I went to, like, Nashville, went to, all these other places for sure. Went to about 15, 16 something races last year, and then I'm like, "This year, we're going to so many races," and that's what happened.
Yeah, got you. Had to have a rebound year after the COVID year. We all got comfortable in our own household. I mean, we were locked up forever. It seemed like.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, and
2021 was a big bounce back year because I didn't even wait for 21 to hit because like 2020, once things kind of started to ease up a little bit, I went out to LA, went out to Vegas, and went out to Miami for a long time because Miami was one of those places where it was like they weren't requiring anything, no mask, none of that stuff. So I was like, I'm getting out of Virginia some way or another.
yeah, like, I really wanna go to LA just to experience that, go to Las Vegas. Definitely wanna go to Vegas for sure,
Yeah,
and,
you need to.
go to Miami. Go to Miami, I just don't mind going everywhere, like, I just for the
You might as well try it
experience,
once.
'cause
Yeah, I wanna go
yeah,
to every
yeah,
NASCAR
just
track
give
on
it
the
a shot.
schedule. Like,
I
that
do
is my
too,
goal before I
eh
die is visit every NASCAR track on schedule.
yes, and that's definitely my goal too. And I was thinking, like, what other tracks do I need to go to up north and south? And I said, well, I only got like Alabama, Atlanta, and Miami pretty much in the
Yeah.
south area. And up north is like Watkins Glen and New Hampshire, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because I went to Dover and Pocono already.
Right, right. Yeah, Miami's a
S-
I went to Homestead last year. That's a great track. Really fun track to watch a race at, especially with how great that track is and how well it's aged and stuff. Actually,
Mhm.
you told me you met somebody earlier from far away. When at Martinsville a few weeks ago, I was talking to a guy before the race, had an accent, Blaney fan, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, where are you from?" He's I said, "Where'd you come from?" He said, "The UK." He came from the UK to Martinsville. That is
Oh
insane. That
yeah, I
was just
wouldn't doubt
insane
it.
to me. That was just insane. Like
I
I've
wouldn't.
met people from like far away, but I'm like, that is just crazy that somebody came all the way from the UK to go like this small little hole in the wall track like Martinsville Speedway. I was like, that's so cool of me.
I wouldn't doubt it because especially like for the Daytona 500 itself, like you meet people from overseas, like
Oh
UK,
yeah,
Japan,
yeah,
Germany, and all them places, France, like,
yeah,
and just like meeting people from Canada and California, they'll fly and come over to the Great American Race, and
yeah. When you're at the Daytona 500, it feels like the whole world comes to you because it feels like the whole world is just in one spot. Especially the last one I went to when the president was there and everything. I'll never forget the size of that crowd. Like that was unbelievable.
yeah, and like the past couple races I went to uh recently, crowd it's gotten bigger crowds. Like I was surprised on
Mhm.
how big the crowd was at Richmond Fall, but
Yeah,
when but in 2021 at Richmond at the fall race, uh, it was packed. Like that race was packed. I was
yeah.
surprised on how packed it was.
That was nine
But it
eleven
was
weekend, wasn't it?
yeah. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
9/11 weekend and oh yeah, I got a funny story about that one. So we sat in when the cars are coming off a turn 4, and we were sitting in those seats, and then when we went back to for the cup race, we tried to get back in those seats, but people were sitting there, and we were look and showed them my ticket, and they're pointing down that way. Come to find out, we sat in the wrong seats for the first race.
Oh, well. Well, see, the first Richmond race I ever went to was, the race, the day before 9/11 in 2011. And that's when they had the backstretch seating. We would sit on the backstretch, like, parallel to the start finish, and that's
That
when
was a
Kyle Busch
good
ran that.
race too.
That was a great race, and that was when Kyle Busch ran that, just American flag scheme. I'll never forget that race. That was my first Richmond race.
Mhm,
I had a ton of people. That was a lot of people at that
mhm.
race. But yeah, I remember that race like it was yesterday. That was my first Richmond race.
What was your first Martinsville race?
First Martinsville race was April 2007. Gordon, Jimmy side by side finish, and
Okay.
then my second race was October 2007, Martinsville. My granddad and I went up, watched practice and qualifying and the truck race, and then the sheets down the street from
Mhm.
Martinsville. Yeah, we drove to
Yeah.
Sheets, slept in the bed of my granddad's truck, and drove back to the track. After the race, uh, Denny Hamlin was like, all the drivers were coming up to the helicopter pad right there off turn 2 where we were parked, and
Yeah.
none of them were signing. None of them signed except Denny Hamlin. Denny signed for every fan, and I was like 7 at the time, and he picked me up on this one. My granddad had like one of those like wind up cameras, like the film cameras,
Yeah.
and then he picked
Yeah.
me up, held me on the fence beside him, and took a picture with me. I still have that picture today, so I'll always be a Hamlin fan for that. I'll never forget that moment. That was awesome, and he signed my Gordon hat at the time too, so that was awesome.
That's cool, man. Like I'm trying to think, like, well, for the Coke 600, was that your first one for 2022?
No, I went to the 2013 Coke 600. Watch that was the Fox cord that fell and stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody ran
I
over.
was
Remember
I
that?
wasn't I wasn't at that I
Yeah, it hit
wasn't
me in
at
the
that
head.
one though.
I was sitting like
Oh,
right at pit exit, and it came and hit me in the head, but it didn't, like, hurt or anything. I just felt it hit my head, and everybody's like, "Whoa!" And then a guy, like, 20 rows back threw a Coke onto the track, and that's what brought out the caution. That was my first one. I remember Casey Kane dominated that race, and then Harvick stole it at the end.
Mhm.
But this year was my
Yeah.
second 600, yeah. So,
Yeah, what about Darlington? Have you been to Darlington?
yep, 2019, went to the Southern 500. Watched Kyle Busch dominate the entire race and then lost to Derek Jones there at the end. That was a little painful one. That was also a marathon because that was a race that was like kind of like big rain delay, and then I had to drive back in the middle of the night. So the race ended, and I drove back. I think I pulled into my driveway at like 5 or 6 a.m., maybe 7 a.m.
Mhm,
But yeah, that was my
mhm.
first and only Darlington race. But I love Darlington, man. That's like top three, one of my favorite tracks. So I'm definitely looking forward to going back.
Yeah, I'm excited to go back in the spring for sure, and,
Where did you
when I
sit?
go back, um, I sit pretty high up, so I can't remember what section it was, but it was pretty high up, and it's kinda like, I say about it's like 1 row ahead of the start finish line.
Okay, cool. I sat kinda like middle of the section, kinda towards maybe a little bit further towards the top, like entry to 1, and that was a badass seats, like, seeing them fly in there right on the wall and stuff. Um,
Mhm.
I love those. I wouldn't mind sitting there again, but I also do wanna sit on the front stretch, like, kinda near start finish.
Yeah, I love Darlington, it was so cool,
So
and,
badass.
yeah, it's such a badass track, and I love Charlotte so much. Definitely going
Dude,
back
you
to
can't beat
Charlotte again.
Charlotte. You haven't been
We
have you
might
you've been
go
to the Roval, right?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Yeah. I like the Roval too, actually.
yeah, I love the Roval. I love the
Yeah.
Roval. I would yeah, like, you see, this year when I went to the Roval again, it was one of those races, it was like the last minute kinda deal
Yeah.
race,
Yeah.
but I might go back next year for sure because I just love Charlotte in general. So I might go
Yeah.
back next year, and, but, we're definitely going back to the Coke 600 weekend because that's the best. It's so fun.
Yeah, you'll see me there. I will be there all weekend.
Oh, definitely. Hell, even the ARCA race was really good when I went.
Oh, yeah, the ARC race this year was good too. See, I only made it down for the Cup race. I came down on Saturday, but I was hanging out with my friend who lives down there, and I only
Mhm.
made it to I wanted to go to the Xfinity, but I ended up watching the Xfinity race at Hooters. But I definitely didn't miss the Cup race though.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I'm glad I didn't miss that because that was a last minute race for me too. Like the week of, I was like, okay, cool, I can make it to Charlotte. Got like this cheap $45 ticket and like at like pit exit or whatever, and then ended up being able to sneak into the
Mhm.
infield. And so I was like, well, this was the best last minute race decision I've ever made.
Yeah, and, like, I was kinda thinking of, since we're planning to go to Atlanta, next year, we're going to go to the one in July, like, it's the night race.
That's what I was
So,
thinking as well.
it won't be too hot because
Right.
it's during the summer.
For
So,
sure.
that's
Yeah,
one
that's what I
thing,
was
and
thinking
then,
as well.
like, we were 50-50 on the chance to go back to the Daytona 500, which I wouldn't mind because I love going there. But we were
Yeah.
kinda thinking, like, let's try to go to the Coke Zero Sugar 400 for that
Okay.
weekend for
Yeah.
the experience alone.
Yeah, I went to that. I've
See,
only
like
been to that race one time, but it was back in 2010 when it was still 4th of July weekend. Like that,
yeah,
I went to the last race on the old surface,
yeah,
so it was badass.
yeah, I wouldn't mind going to the one in the fall just to experience what that race is like compared to the Daytona 500.
Yeah, man, you should.
Yeah. How many Daytona 500s have you been to?
Only 2, unfortunately. I wish I'd been to, wish I could have attended a lot more, but definitely in the future. I was actually kind of entertaining trying to make it to this coming up years, but just I don't know if I could pull it together, like, in enough time with like ticket prices, and then finding like a lot of the places are already
Mhm.
booked out and stuff. So, because I was just looking the other week, and I was like, I guess so. I guess I'll miss it this year, but I definitely want to try and go in like 2024,
Okay. You went to 2020, and what was the other year you went?
2019. So I went back to back
20
years.
okay. So okay. So Denny Hamlin won both of those races.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Do you collect the race wins, the races you attended?
You know, I used to, but with living in an apartment, I kind of like ran out of space. So the diecasts I do have are in storage right now. Um,
Mhm.
I have I have a Kyle Busch race win. It was the only race I saw Kyle win in person. That was Bristol 2019, the spring race. I got one of those. I usually only collected like my favorite driver wins, so I've had like 3 or 4 Kyle diecasts. I've given a couple of them to Dalton and stuff just because I ran out of
Yeah.
room. But I really want to start collecting like Ty Gibbs, like race win diecast. I wouldn't mind
Mhm.
doing that. So
Yeah. Um, are you getting, you say you were at Bristol Dirt this year for the cup race when Kyle won?
not this year. I will be next year though. I wish I would have gone this year.
Because I was about to say, because like, I mean, if you were there, that's a diecast you should definitely pick up. Or,
I
I mean,
know
as a Kyle
Dalton
Busch
just sent a
fan, you should
picture.
definitely pick it up in
Yeah,
general.
Dalton just
Because
sent a
like,
picture today. He got his in the mail.
yeah, because like that's the last win in his number 18 car.
I know, how ironic is that Dalton was there for that. Just full circle. I'm convinced Dalton is Kyle Busch. Like Kyle Busch originally died and Dalton came back and like reincarnated Kyle Busch. Like that is, of course Dalton would be at Kyle's last win in the 18 car. But nah, dude, it was sad as shit. I was sad Martinsville weekend. I was like, man, this is gonna be my last time seeing Kyle wield this thing around Martinsville in the 18 car. And he was like 5 fucking
Yeah.
laps down in the first stage. Like BJ McLeod passed him. At that point I was just like, what the hell, dude? Like this is just sad. Like I just want to cry at this point.
Yeah, because like when I was at Pocono as well, I wanted Kyle Busch to win that race because it was an Eminem sponsored race,
Oh
and
yeah.
I just want to see Kyle Busch win that. But finished second until he got DQ'd
DQ'd.
for that one.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
sucked,
I
man.
mean,
But you were
yeah.
also at
So
Ty Gibbs' first Cup start. That's pretty cool.
yeah, but it was unfortunate how it happened, how it ended
Yeah,
up.
I hated the circumstances, but I was like, that's cool that he got his first start, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's cool as well. Like I'll be able to look back and be like, yeah, like I saw Ty Gibbs race in the Cup Series for like a team that not wasn't Joe Gibbs Racing, which I don't think you'll ever be able to say, you know, ever again for him. I mean, you think he's ever really gonna leave Joe Gibbs Racing? I don't think so. His name's on the building,
Don't
but,
know.
yeah, you never know, but, yeah, I don't know, so looking back on that, I was like, "That's kinda cool." Well, I'll be able to look back and say I saw Ty race for a different team, and even Kyle, like, I'll be able to look back and be like, "Yeah, I never thought I'd see Kyle race for a different team, be out there with Richard Childress Racing," so and Jimmy with GMS, that's gonna be fucking weird. I hope they give him the 48.
Yeah, yeah, but the thing is about Jimmy and first off with Kyle Busch, like I really want to see him win in that 8 car
Same,
one of the races I go to. I really
same.
do. I think it'd be really cool because one thing is, even though I do want to see Tyler Reddick win for sure in person, but I would love to add a number 8 Kyle Busch race win diecast on
Yeah,
my race win shelf for sure, and a Tyler
that'd be
Reddick.
awesome.
But for Jimmy Johnson, I think he's gonna run. He's definitely gonna run like the Crown Jewel races for sure.
Yeah.
But I also want him to run Martinsville or and
I was about
Dover,
to
like
say,
tracks he's really
yeah,
good at.
yeah, I was about to say I bet he does at least one of those, one of the 2. Probably Martin. I don't know. He's really good
He
at
might. He's
Dover.
probably gonna
Dover's
do
like his
both.
spot. That'd be sick because I would
Yeah,
love
and
to see Jimmy
Charlotte.
again. Yeah, well, yeah, Charlotte too.
Yeah,
If they gave Johnson the 48, what do you think Bowman would do? Because the 88 isn't his identity either. Like, what's Bowman's dirt track number?
55, and I wouldn't mind him
55.
being in the 55.
No, I could see him like building up like a yeah, I could see him in 55 because like Larson's dirt number is like 57. and stuff. So I could also
Yeah.
see Larson in 57, but Hendrick 5 and stuff. But yeah, I was wondering about that. I was like, what number Bowman would go to if they end up giving the 48 to Jimmy? Which
Yeah,
how weird
and
that
they
would
were
that be?
thinking
Him
like,
driving the same car with
I
three
mean,
different numbers.
it wouldn't bug me really um, because I even had like I was thinking about this the other day actually about like numbers being retired and stuff, and I'm like, I don't think numbers should be retired because I like to see the numbers still go on through generations upon generations for
Yeah,
sure.
see, I'm
Um,
I'm I'm a little bit I tend to be a little bit of the opposite. Like, I mean, I understand it and stuff. Like, I just think the 48 and um the 43 should never be driven again. Like, those are the 3 numbers, like, I see the 18 again, welcome that back. The 24, well, I don't know, in the 24, I feel like but Byron's been in the 24 so long now that it's just kinda like he's built up his own identity. But, like, I don't know, it's just weird to me because you see those numbers and you just associate those, for me at
mhm,
least, associate those numbers. So, I'm indifferent, like, I'm not totally against it, but I'm not totally for it at the same time. I like to see guys build up
'cause
their own
like
legacy.
yeah, that's the thing because like with that, because like I was thinking like, people wanted the number 3 retired, which it has been for,
Years.
for since for years and stuff, and they brought it back, which I completely understand why they should retire it.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, um, it's a iconic number, and a lot of people may have forgotten about, but these numbers that were driven were either driven beforehand. These guys like Jimmy Johnson got the 48 number.
Yeah.
There were drivers before him that got that number.
Right.
Um, I mean, Richard Childress drove the 3 car before giving it to Dale Senior, and
Right.
for what else? Like I mean, like the 43. Even though Richard Petty made that number iconic and everything, but he had multiple drivers driving the 43. It's kinda like keeping that legacy going on for sure,
Yeah, which I
but
can respect. Like, brothers with the 21, like, I'll always love that.
yeah, for sure. But on the other hand, like, I wouldn't mind I'm just glad that I was able to see, like, the 3 car win in person, the 24, even the 43 car win in person
Yeah.
because,
That's sick.
um, you know, it's 1 to 43, then 1 to 40, seeing these numbers win.
Yeah.
And it's a special thing. It is a special moment to see, um, these these numbers back in victory lane for so many years.
Right. And a lot of it, like, people don't really think about is like there's sponsors that want to be associated with that number. And that is big for them to sponsor the
Yeah.
team because they want to be associated. Like, I talked to Jordan Bianchi for a little bit before the Martinsville race, and someone came up and asked, like, hey, is Ty Gibbs to the 18 confirmed? And he was like, yes. And they asked if it was going to be the 18 or 54. And he said, well, I think it's going to be 18 because they're longtime sponsors with the 18 that want to still be associated with that number, such as Interstate Batteries, DeWalt, and stuff. Um, but and that was kind of the path that they were trending on. But I think Ty really wanted the 54, obviously, and then the passing of Coy, I think, kind of opened the floodgate for that to be a possibility, which I'm thankful for, because like it would, as
Mhm.
much as I love it, like it would have just been weird. Like, I don't think I could ever associate another driver with the 18 other than Kyle. For me, just because I've
Yeah.
watched it since I was a little kid, even if it's my new favorite
Mhm.
driver. Like, I like how Kyle, or excuse me, how Ty is able to build his own identity. Plus, the 54 font looks sick. So I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I know, like, Alex Bowman had 2 different numbers, had the 88 and now the 48. Um, and Dale Jr. chose Alex Bowman to pilot the 88, and the only difference between the 88 font and Junior's font, one is leaner than the other,
Hmm.
so that's a different way to identify it.
Right.
but with Jimmy Johnson, um, past the 48 to Alex Bowman, it kinda a lot of people everybody's gonna know the 48 because of Jimmy Johnson, and
Right.
once Alex Bowman won races in the, 48, it pretty much just like, "Hey, um, Alex Bowman won races in the 48, won 5 races already in that 48 car. He's the next step." But
Yeah,
everybody's gonna remember the 48 because of Jimmy, and I was hoping that
absolutely.
Bowman could get his own number, own identity, and I just like seeing these
Bring
numbers
the
still
25
being
back.
ran.
I would like to see
Yeah,
Bowman
like,
in the
bring the
25.
25.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, like, you could put him in the
Having a 5
25
that'd be like the
because the
OG
last
Hendrick.
time
The
that car
525 and the 24, that's like OG Hendrick right there.
yeah, and, like, the last time we saw the 25 is what, Brian Vickers? Or Casey Mears, at
Casey
least,
Mears,
driving that
I think
number?
yeah, I think it was Casey
No,
Mears.
Chase Elliott. No,
Oh,
Chase
yeah,
Elliott was the last
yeah.
person to drive the 25 because of the rookie year.
Yeah,
Because I was
2015.
at his first, cup start at Martinsville.
Yeah, and me too. He was a
It
fucking
destroyed the
he was a
car.
dude, he was a dart without any feathers at that race. It was like the first 15 laps and the damn front clip was knocked off of it.
Yeah, like, and this was before 100 laps into the race.
Oh, yeah, this was,
Destroyed the
like,
front end of the car.
way early on, just busted up the whole front. It's crazy.
I actually have that diecast. I actually have that rookie
Really?
car,
That's awesome. Well, I
autograph
remember
and his 2016 rookie car.
my favorite 24 car he ran was Darlington in 2017, that, like, baby blue Napa one. I don't know if you remember what I'm talking about, but it was
Mhm.
like a throwback to his dad, I think.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was a
that was
throwback.
my favorite. Yeah, that was my favorite 24 car he ever ran. But that 25 Napa scheme was pretty sick too. I kind of forget about that. Kind of how I forgot how Blaney was
Oh,
originally in the 12 in like 2014 when he made his first start at Kansas.
yeah, then he drove the 21 car for a while
Yep,
and got his first cup
yeah,
win at Pocono that year in
yep.
2017.
Beat
It
old KFB.
yeah, beat, Kevin Harvick for that win
Yep.
in KFB, but, oh, and my favorite 24 scheme for Chase Elliott was probably I think it was the 2016 Mountain Dew scheme he ran
Oh
at
yeah, that
Dover.
one was a good one. Yeah, that one
That
was a
was a
good one as
nice
well.
one. Even the one he ran at Richmond in the Mountain Dew scheme in 2016
Yeah,
was pretty nice too.
I remember that one as well. Remember that one as
Yeah.
well.
Um, luckily, because like, most of the drivers I seen that won races, half of them already retired, like Dale Jr. Jimmy Johnson is coming back, but I saw him win. I saw Carl
Yeah,
Edwards win a race. Um, Casey Kane win a race. It's crazy seeing those guys leaving racing, and,
I know all at once too
I
within
never
like a
seen Jeff
5 year
Gordon win.
span. I saw
What's
him
that?
win one time. It's crazy how all those drivers left within like a 5 year span too. You know, it's like we had this mass exodus in NASCAR from like
Yeah.
2014, 15 to 2020. I guess you'd say like, it was when Jimmy retired. I saw Jeff win one time, 2015 Martinsville. Um, I've
Oh, that
seen
was
Jimmy
cool.
win. That was awesome. I saw Jimmy win multiple times at Martinsville. Where else did I see Jimmy
Mhm.
win? Probably, excuse me, probably all of Martinsville. Seen Harvick win a bunch of times. Saw Carl Edwards win Richmond once. I may have even seen Newman win once. Denny like 3 or 4 times and stuff.
I
So
seen Denny the most win.
I
I saw
think
Denny
so for
win
me
so
too.
many times.
Yeah, I think for me too.
Truex
Because
is up there.
I've never seen. Oh, I've seen Truex win one race, Martinsville 2019. Saw Brad win one. Chris Buescher might be the most random one I've seen so far, but
I saw him win
yeah,
twice,
we both
actually,
there.
the dual race and,
Oh,
Bristol.
yeah, yeah, you guys went to the duel, I forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah,
Byron one
and,
time at Homestead, yeah, so, hmm.
yeah, I saw Byron win Martinsville for the first time.
Oh, yeah, well,
I was
Martinsville
so
too.
I was so happy to see Bowman win at my home track.
Dude, that was crazy in the
Best
fashion it
feeling.
happened. What was your reaction when you saw Denny pull up?
I was too busy recording, and
Oh,
Bowman
okay.
did like a little burnout in front of him. I was like,
Yeah,
Yeah, that's my guy. That was
that's my
Bowman's my
dude.
guy."
Yeah,
So, personally, because I seen Brandon Jones win twice, one in an ARCA race and the Martinsville race in Xfinity, the one where Ty Gibbs
yeah,
and Sam Mayer got into it,
yeah.
and, Sheldon Creed and Darlington in the Truck Series, saw him win, when he's yeah, 2021 fall,
Yeah.
and, but Noah Gregson is definitely a guy I've seen a lot. I saw him win already like 4 times already, and
Yeah, I've seen like he won
I
every race
say it
this year.
yeah, because I saw him win, uh, most of the Xfinity races I went to. I did see Kyle Busch win twice. I saw him win Richmond 2007, at Richmond in the, Busch race when he was driving the 5,
Okay,
and then I saw him win at Bristol Dirt this year.
nice, nice. Yeah, I've only
Yeah.
seen old Kyle win one time, but that was good enough for me. Hopefully, I see him win in the 8 car. That'd be really cool. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and speaking about Kyle Busch winning at Bristol Dirt, when he won, there was a Kyle Busch fan, which I didn't know that was sitting behind me, and, when I was like, "Holy shit, Kyle Busch won the race," and then I turned around, there was a Kyle Busch fan, like, shocked and excited, I gave him a good old hand slap and everything, and, like,
yeah,
he was happy, and, I can't remember. Oh, I got a funny story that happened at Bristol Night Race, in September. So after that race was over, we waited in the parking lot, for traffic to get by,
yeah.
and so we got out, and we're gonna have to make a U-turn to go back to the hotel room. So we were driving. Police was directing traffic, as some car in front of us was stopping every time they see somebody on the sidewalk, like
Oh
a
man,
police officer on the sidewalk and handing out like 3 pizzas. And this happened like 4 times and she's holding up traffic.
what the heck?
And I didn't say anything. I didn't want to say anything, but Thomas, my guy, was so mad. Oh my lord, he was so mad. And I was just waiting for him to roll down the window and start cursing at this person. Oh my goodness. I
Because
cannot,
Thomas is the one
and
who drives all these races, doesn't he? In the Jeep.
yeah, that's his baby. That's his car.
Yeah,
And, so, like, um, because 'cause I'm usually the guy that records and helps him out with directions and stuff.
yeah.
And, oh yeah, one time when we were in Charlotte during the Coke 600, one of the I think it was Saturday, no, Friday night after the truck race, we were hungry, trying to find a place to get something to eat. Found a Chick-fil-A, and, I was like, "Maybe if you turn down this road, there's, like, like a drive-through or something, drive-in." And we went down that, and it was a freaking interstate road. And we had to drive, like, 2 or 3 more miles to turn around and get back to Charlotte. Man, he was so mad.
Damn, it's easy to do in North Carolina, trust me.
Yeah. I
That
like what
that's
they did for Charlotte. They made their own ramp for the mall. That's the
yeah,
best thing ever
yeah,
because it
that was
blocks so
which
because
mall did you go to? Did you go to, Concord Mills with the Lionel store?
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I love Concord Mills Mall is probably my favorite mall to go to, and we're actually
Really?
going back next month. Yeah, we're actually
Have
going
you,
back next month in December.
have you ever been to South Park Mall?
South Park Mall? Where's that at?
It's in Charlotte. It's kinda closer to Uptown. So you know how, Concord Mills is kinda close to, like, Hendrick Motorsports and stuff like that? South Park
Yeah.
Mall is kinda on, like, kinda like not the opposite end of Charlotte, but kinda closer to, like, the airport. But that's where you have, like, the Cheesecake Factory, and you've got, like, twice the amount of stores you got in Concord Mills. Like, you know how Concord Mills is all,
Oh,
like, one level. Like South Park Mall is like the biggest mall in Charlotte. You should check that one out. That one's a really good mall.
Alright. I'll definitely tell Thomas about that one for sure.
Yeah, it's
Check
I
that
think it's
out.
like a
I mean,
10 it's like a
we love Cheese Factory.
yeah, yeah, same. It's I think it's like a 10-15 minute drive from Concord Mills maybe. So it's really
That ain't bad.
close. No, it's not bad at all.
Yeah, that's not bad.
No.
No.
Yeah,
We'll
you should
definitely
check it
check
out.
that one out. I mean, we love going to Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, you can't beat it. We don't have any near
Yeah,
here too. The closest one is South Park. Well, we got Greensboro, I guess, but I'd rather just go to the South Park Mall
yeah,
one down there in Charlotte.
yeah. I've been to the one in Greensboro before,
Yeah.
and, I loved, going to Cheddar's. Cheddar's is so good. I went to a Bob Evans in Stafford, Virginia,
Uh-huh.
and, that was really good, and, but that was one of the craziest days of going there because of with the hotel issue and all that stuff. Man, that was
Oh.
frustrating.
Oh, yeah, that was a Richmond trip,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that was frustrating.
What is your go-to order at Cheesecake Factory? You obviously, you gotta get food and cheesecake, right?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
that first time was Greensboro. That was the first
Alright.
time I ever went to the Cheesecake Factory in Greensboro, so I got, like, the cheeseburger and,
Yeah.
s some, I think, mozzarella cheese sticks and, it was some kinda eggplant things or something. Eggplant, I can't remember what you call them, but those things were pretty good, and it came with
Yeah.
some sort of sauce.
Gotcha. I'll tell you what, man, uh, next time you're in Charlotte, there's this
Mhm.
burger place in Uptown that has the best burgers I've ever had in my life, and I'm not a burger guy, like, I don't really eat burgers that much, but I go to a lot of Hornets games, and it's, like, a block and a half down from where the Hornets play, near the Hall of Fame, because the Hall of Fame is essentially across the
Yeah,
street from the Hornets arena. It's called Cowbell
yeah.
Burger. That place is
Ooh.
amazing, and they got, like, amazing sides. I got, what did I get as a side? I got these cinnamon sweet potato tots, and they were amazing, dude.
Ooh.
It sounds weird, but they were amazing. And then I got these crispy Parmesan fries as a side too, and then the burger I got was this turkey burger on a pretzel bun with like
Mhm.
caramelized onions, and it was super good. But yeah, next time if you're down, and definitely when you go to 600, but if you're there next month and have time, you should definitely check that place out because it is really, really good burgers.
Yeah, 'cause, one of the reasons we wanna go back to Charlotte, besides going to a race in the mall and all that kind of stuff, we wanna try Topgolf, like the big
Oh yeah.
golf
Oh
thing.
yeah. Yeah,
I wanna
Topgolf
try
is
that so
awesome.
bad.
Yeah, it's awesome. They
I'm
got
not a
I think they
golf
have a me neither. Me, I suck.
I'm not
But I think they got a couple locations down there in Charlotte.
Yeah, and you see, I'm not a golf person, but I wouldn't mind trying it just to hit the ball and see how as far as you can go.
Yeah, it's fun to do. The one time I went, like, I had a layover and we just went and they have really good food there actually too and like good drinks and stuff. So it's fun to just sit there and hit the
Yeah.
ball out in the Infineon or wherever the hell the damn ball goes and stuff. But yeah, I like to do all my holiday shopping at like South Park Mall and in Charlotte and stuff. Like it's just a and you know it's fun in the wintertime too because you can head over to the speedway and drive around the track and they got the Christmas lights and stuff going on. Like they got the light
Mhm.
show inside the track. You can drive on the track and everything. I think you drive the course of the Roval if I'm not mistaken. And they got like a whole
Mhm.
like Christmas tree light set up inside there. So it's a good time. It's a good time this time of year.
Oh yeah, that'd be something I'm definitely wanna do for a long time. So,
Yeah, for sure.
I think I think with going to Charlotte and, you see, when I went to Daytona for the first time, we checked out restaurants we never even tried, like Bonefish Grill for the first time. That was good.
Yeah.
That was pretty good, and that's where we tried Cheddar's, and that was really good. And, every
Yeah.
Cheddar's that we find, we always go to it, especially the one in
Yeah.
Johnson City. We always stop at that one. And,
Yeah.
I remember going to Pal's in Tennessee for the first time. That was good.
I haven't been to
and
Pals yet. I haven't been to Pals. Dalton gives me crap about it all the time, but I haven't been yet.
yeah, Pals is really good. We try to go back while we were in Johnson City last time, but it was too packed to get in.
Yeah,
So, what we're gonna have to do when me and Thomas go back to Tennessee, for the dirt race, he's definitely want to try Pals. It's pretty good.
yeah. That's what I plan on doing because I'm going obviously going to the dirt race and stuff, and I'm like, I gotta at least try it. Dalton hypes it up, and Dalton's a very, very, very picky eater, so I'm like, if he thinks it's good, then I'll roll with it. I'll try it. Why not?
Yeah, and, for next year for the NASCAR season, hopefully we could see different drivers win races, like, just like this season, like, it was about 19 drivers that won,
Yeah, yeah.
but,
20,
but,
including Blaney at
um
the All Star, I guess, if you want to include that.
yeah, but I'm hoping I could see drivers that will end up kinda like kinda like beating like, drivers I've never seen win a race in person.
Yeah,
That's
I can.
I always enjoy doing that.
Yeah, I can always appreciate like a driver who like I've never seen win or a driver who's never won before, like Busher at Bristol. I was like, this is really cool. Like Busher only has
Mhm.
technically one career win. It came weird circumstances, but this is really cool. Like my thing is like there's drivers who I really don't really care for winning. Like Logano, I'm like, Harvick, I'm like, but anytime I go to a race in person, like it doesn't matter who wins. I have a good time regardless, and I'm just happy to be at the racetrack,
Oh,
It's kinda
yeah, and
impossible to just be upset when you're at the racetrack.
mhm. I mean, yeah, unless your favorite driver wrecks out or something, that's the only downfall I have, but it
Yeah, that's
happens. It happens.
yeah, I mean, that's part of it, But even with that, it kinda
Yeah.
makes it a little bit cooler because that's happened to me before, and at first, you're like, "Damn," but then you're like, "Well, I don't got a dog in the
Yeah.
fight now, so now I can just get to sit back and enjoy this." And
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, I mean, I'm speaking for myself here. I don't know about you, but I know a lot of times when I go to the race, I'm so caught up on like my driver that I often
Mhm.
miss things that happen in the race because I'm the type person when I'm at a race. I will stand and I will like watch my driver go by every single lap and just look at his car and stuff. And so sometimes I
Mhm.
miss like what's going on. And so it's kind of nice sometimes when, they wreck out or something, you can kind of just take in the whole race and stuff. So yeah, I can always appreciate that. But man, I'm already ready to get back to the track in 2023. Like I left Martinsville wanting more. And so I'm looking forward to the first race that I'll be able to go to in 2023 for sure.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, like, I saw Bowman crash out multiple times, and that feeling seeing your
Yeah.
driver struggle in the season, and then seeing him win, best feeling ever, and then when you see your actual favorite driver win a race in person, it's like the best feeling ever,
Dude,
especially
it's
when
like it's
Junior won at Martinsville.
Yeah, and the crazy
It's
thing is I've been to Martinsville every year since '07. I didn't go to that race. I couldn't make it to that race. Had a basketball tournament that weekend, which sucked. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean it's yeah, because I've been through the same thing. Like both Daytona 500s I went to 2018, Kyle led almost it seemed like the whole race, finished second to Hamlin. So even though it was cool to see like Hamlin win, see like my thing is like if my driver doesn't win, seeing like a teammate wins like next in line, like that's really cool.
Mhm.
So that kind of stung a little bit, but then in 2020, he had a shot there at the end, came off pit road first and then blew up. That was kind of a gut punch as well. But then you get to experience the elation of
Mhm.
seeing them win, like seeing Ty win at Martinsville in the Xfinity race. That was my first time I ever got to see him win. And even though
Yeah,
it was
same,
circumstance,
same.
I was still up in the stand like, whoa, yeah, like I was going crazy
Yeah.
and stuff just because I'm like, you never
Mhm.
know when you're gonna see this again. Like you got to live it up. And in fact, he ripped one of the fattest burnouts I've ever seen and stuff. I was like, oh man, he's gonna catch heat, but I don't even care right now. Like it's just enjoying the moment. And so, yeah, I'm glad we can
Yeah,
relate on that.
like yeah, like, when Bowman won, also with Josh Berry's my favorite Xfinity driver too. When I saw him win at
Yeah,
Martinsville for his first Xfinity race, I was so excited. Then he won Charlotte at, this year. I was, like, so excited. I'm like, hell yeah, and all this. I kind of wish I went to the Dover Xfinity race because he won that race too,
Yeah,
but I only went to the Cup race that weekend. But man, if I was there, I would have been the same way. But when
yeah,
Bowman won Martinsville, everything was I was having the best time of my life, and that was the best way to wrap up the NASCAR vlogs for my year for
yeah,
2021.
for
And
sure.
you see, I went to Thomas's house after that race. He just messaged me. He's like, "Hey, you doing anything?" And I'm like, "Just got home. You want to chill?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's chill." But during that time, I was getting a cold, and I still worked that weekend. And then, like
Uh,
the next weekend, I felt awful. I
yeah, I'm
felt
sure.
terribly awful.
Uh,
Man, I got sick as a dog.
that weekend though was tough because
It
it was like
sucked.
it was cold and it was rainy. Like I remember that my friends came down, they drove down from Chicago and like camped from like
Yeah.
Wednesday night to Monday. And I just
Mhm.
remember that weekend it just being like really like frigid cold and like it was off and on rain and stuff. So like yeah, that was a
Yeah.
miserable Martinsville weekend. I was thankful for good weather Martinsville this fall. Like it was pretty good weather. I never once was like really
Mhm.
cold. I mean it was chilly, but I wasn't like really cold. So that was probably some of the best Martinsville weather we've had in a while.
Yeah, that spring race was insane. Like, it was so cold.
Yeah, I didn't
God,
go to the
man.
Xfinity race. I had tickets to the Xfinity race the Friday night too when Ty beat up Sam Mayer, but I was like during the day, I was sitting here and I was like, it's kind of off and on rainy and it's super cold. And I was like, I'll just not go to the
Mhm.
Xfinity race and stuff. Now I regret it. I'm like, oh man, that would have been kind
Yeah.
of cool to see, but I definitely went to the Cup one, man. I was like, well, surely can't Cup won't be that cold. No, it was bad.
Yeah. Um, the hottest race that I ever went to was Nashville last year for the Cup race.
Ooh, yeah, that
Oh
one.
my
I wasn't
lord.
at that one, but I've heard Nashville horror stories from 2021 from multiple people.
Man, it was so hot, and, we went to the city of Nashville, um,
Mhm.
that Saturday night, and, we were drinking and stuff. Had a great time. And, but after the Nashville Cup race, like, Thomas wasn't feeling good, and then Chris was like, "Hey, let's go back to the city Sunday night." And I was like, Alright, why not? Let's do it. Let's have a great time." And so we did, and that's where I met, a girl, a musician, and her name is, Leilani Kilgore. She is a musician, she's also a singer, and, like, I was being nice. I gave her, like, $120, tip, and,
Hell yeah,
ever since that happened, she started following me, and we talked and all that kinda cool stuff, and,
nice.
then, like, she's fucking badass, and now she's really getting up there, and, like, she's really getting up there in popularity, which is really
Yeah,
cool, and, it's
nice.
it's cool meeting these people playing in Nashville and, and see where their careers are going, where their paths are going.
Yeah, that's one place I've never been is Nashville, and I it's on my bucket list to attend.
You you need to go to Nashville, I'm telling you, because it is so fun. The bars I met Eric Jones at the Doc Holliday bar too.
Oh, really?
Um,
Nice.
that was great. I would That was unexpected, and, when we were going to these bars, we came across this bar, and it's not a strip club or anything. The bar is called Nudies. It's a three-story, bar,
I've heard of that
and
place. I've
man
heard of it, and they got like different level. They got like different style of music on
Mhm.
every level of the bar.
Yeah, and the top roof is, where you can dance on a man, and if you've seen the Nashville vlog, man, that's where we were dancing. It was so freaking awesome.
Yeah, dude, I
The
gotta
best
go
time of
because
my life.
I've been to Vegas and I want to compare it. I want to compare the two because they say Nashville is a close second to Vegas. So I need to compare the two.
When you were in Vegas, did you see the Luxor?
I did see the Luxor. I stayed right there on the Vegas Strip. I actually stayed like at the hotel right across from the Strat, like the
Mhm.
big stratosphere. And so I was up and down the strip and I actually snuck into Las Vegas Motor Speedway. that weekend too. I think the vlog's still up on my channel, but the track was just open, like, tunnel was open. We just drove through, empty track, and we got out and walked up on pit road and stuff, and then that's when security was like, "Hey, like, what are y'all doing here?" And we're like, "Oh, sorry." And we just left and stuff. But yeah, I wandered up and down the Vegas Strip. Didn't do as much stuff as I would have liked to in Vegas. Like I didn't gamble at all, and I didn't really go out to like any of the clubs
Yeah.
or parties or anything. But I would definitely like to go to Vegas
Mhm.
again and stay a little bit longer and experience it.
Yeah, I would definitely wanna go to Vegas for the race and go to Vegas Strip and go to Luxor, go to the casino, go anywhere. I definitely wanna go to the pawn shop from Pawn Stars, see if I can meet
Oh
Chumlead or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah,
See,
wanna
I
go
totally
there.
forgot about that when I was there and stuff. But yeah, that would be cool to. And the good thing about Vegas too is like that it's hot. You're in the desert, but it's dry heat. It's not like humidity like we get here and stuff. Like you don't
Yeah,
feel like it's beating down on you. Like it'll be like 90 degrees, but it won't really feel like 90 degrees. You know what I'm saying? Like it'll
yeah.
just feel like
Mhm.
comfortable in a way.
Yeah, and, I was talking to Iceberg, Jared Iceberg, and, one of the coolest dudes to one of the nicest guys to talk to, and, so is Darian Gilliam, Black Lives Matter. When I was talking to, Iceberg, he said, "The parties in Talladega are really awesome, Boulevard and all that," but he also
Yeah,
said the Michigan parties, Michigan International Speedway parties are just alike, and I said, "I really wanna go to Michigan because
that's what
that's,
I
like, one of
hear.
the
That
fastest tracks."
they say the infield at Michigan is crazy, but yeah,
Yeah.
those guys they're nice guys, and that was kind of like an incident that I never even, like, addressed. Those just the whole cancellation of Connor Bunn on Twitter last year. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that was something I never, like, never addressed because I don't feel like it was fully understood, like, it kinda got taken out of control, or it spun out of control to what was being said, and I guess I'll address it here if for anybody who's made it this far into the podcast, but, so pretty much, like, at the time, no Cornelius, everybody knows him,
Yeah.
was he
I met him at the Charlotte Roval practice for the next gen cars where they were testing, and,
yeah,
I actually vlogged that too, for, like, a mini vlog or something, and, that's where I met, his other friend, Aaron Green, which he does, like, social media work for,
okay.
like Ross Chastain. He's a great guy, really cool dude to talk
Yeah,
to, and he's been my friend ever since. But yeah, that's where I met Noah Cornelius for the first time.
yeah, so, I like, used to be, like, friends and communicate and stuff with, like, Darian and Jared, all good guys, like, Danny, all like, they're all
Yeah,
good dudes and stuff,
yeah,
but I've never met Noah even to this day, don't really have anything against Noah, I know he's kinda had his own issues social media wise since then. But pretty much like
hmm
I saw he had tweeted something and about like NASCAR and the way it's like at races, which how it's like at races, like how it's the atmosphere and the community base of it. And him at the time
yeah,
had never been to a race. So my tweet got taken out. I don't even remember what my tweet said because it's all deleted now, but my tweet got taken out of context. I pretty much was just like saying like, "Hey, come to a race, like see how it's actually like because like you have a following, and I don't like want you misleading people thinking going to races is like a danger zone for people. Like going to races, it's like a very friendly community atmosphere, and like everybody's like
yeah,
really
yeah,
friendly and stuff. I was pretty much like, come to a race, I'll buy you a beer, and
yeah,
I don't know, they just like you say stuff on social media, people take it one way, well, it's not supposed to, and so I got canceled, and everybody was calling me racist and stuff, and I pretty much got bullied off of Twitter for
hmm
a long like I like this was probably like March of 2021, and I don't think I got back on Twitter until like October of 2021, just because like all the
hmm
things that were said and everybody, including like some NASCAR journalists, chimed in, and it spun out of control, and it was like it just totally opposite from what like meant to say. So like even to this day, I don't really have any contacts with like any like I guess NASCAR, like those guys. Like I don't like I've still to this day because I know Darian and Jarrett and all them were quick to jump on the cancel Connor train and stuff. So to this day, I've never talked to them since then, and I've never talked about what exactly happened or what I meant
Mhm.
by that. And so yeah, and I've seen them multiple times and stuff, but it's just like it's really weird because like I would say we're all really close, but I was good friends with them and stuff. So yeah, so that was a weird incident. Now I feel like since then I've kind of been shadow banned on Twitter in a way. Like I know I lost like
Mhm.
a lot of my following because of that and everything. So which is kind of good because I feel like I can just kind of enjoy Twitter for what it is now instead of like being what it was like a very toxic atmosphere for the NASCAR community. But yeah, that's pretty much what happened with that whole ordeal and stuff. But yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Yeah, um, yeah, I do remember all that happening, and, cause like, I met people who been for example, like, I have met people that have been a NASCAR fan for a while, but never attended a racetrack, and, they never fully experience what it's like to be at a racetrack, which, um, honestly, um, out of all the races I've been to, you'll see fights and stuff like that happening, but most of the time it involves alcohol pretty much. I mean,
Yeah,
it
like
happens. Just like
90% of
Charlotte
the time.
Roval this year when I recorded that whole ordeal and posted on Twitter. Like
Yep.
that happens. I saw a fight break out at before the Coca-Cola 600 in 2015 because the guy
Yep.
was drunk and cursing out the I don't know what you call them. I think they're called hate preachers or something. That's what people call them, where preacher
Yeah.
or people, are against alcohol and drugs and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was saying some pretty messed up stuff too, for
Yeah.
that guy. And the drunk guy went up to him, pushed him. Another guy got involved, and they started fighting. And beer went everywhere. And sadly, my grandparents had their legs splashed with a Miller Lite beer, but it doesn't
Oh
affect my
man.
granddad because he used to work for Miller Lite for 30 years,
Right.
so it doesn't
Yeah.
bug him. But there's people out there that never experience a race, and on a certain degree, I can understand them being like, even though I've never been to a race, I don't know how the people are gonna be, what the experience is gonna be. I mean, I can understand that, but
Yeah.
I'd always tell them, like, "Go to one, it's friendly," even if the people are just, like, messing with you and all the time, but they're having fun too, and that's why you mess with
Yeah.
them back. That's
Right.
because
It's all in good fun.
that's yeah, it's all in good fun. It is a friendly sport thing. It is a friendly thing, friendly sport, and plus, even the people that you don't know that are sitting next to you, talk to them, talk about racing or talk about their favorite driver, all that kind of stuff. Just have fun.
Yeah.
And like the only thing I can understand about not going to a race to like money is definitely a main thing to go to a race
Yeah.
because they're expensive. Races are expensive. Hotels are
Yeah.
expensive. But and also food is expensive at the racetrack too.
Yeah, it's
Don't wanna
crazy to
forget about
think,
that.
like, oftentimes the cheapest part of going to a race is the ticket. It's everything around it that
Yeah,
costs the most. The gas, the
yeah,
hotel, the food, the potential merchandise, like, it's all that that adds up the most.
and traveling in general, and,
Yeah.
uh, and, like, you can it's mainly the hotel room because a hotel room depends on how many days you get and
Yeah.
amount of people are going. That's what gets you. I mean, you can buy a $40 ticket at a race and you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're gonna
I
spend, like,
mean
100 or 105 on a hotel room. You spend double what you pay for
yeah.
the ticket on the hotel room.
Yeah, pretty much. But also depends on how many days and what day you're going to that hotel
For
room
sure.
where the prices get higher, and also the
Right.
amount of people that are going too. And
Right, right.
personally, I think that people that never experience a NASCAR race in general just go to one for sure. Um, the first time when I went to Dover and Pocono and meeting those kind of people for the first time, they're just your typical original ordinary NASCAR fans, pretty much.
Mhm.
we're all alike. We're pretty much all alike there. That's why it's called a family sport, pretty much,
Yeah, so it's
because
why it's a racing family, you know? We're all there enjoying
to
a
have a great
common
time.
good. To have a great time. Like I've been to races before where I've been walking through the tailgate thing where I've parked and then the person beside me is cooking up and they've offered me food and stuff just
Yeah,
'cause, you know, they're like, "Hey, come over here and eat. Come grab a plate and stuff." Like it's all like a fun community. Like nobody shows up to a NASCAR race to hate and like, "Oh, I'm gonna get in a fight." Like if there is fights like you said,
yeah,
it's like alcohol is involved and I personally have never seen a fight at a NASCAR race where alcohol wasn't involved. You know, you see like the shit talk banter, but like that's
yeah,
sports. That's why we
yeah,
love sports.
and the thing is about, speaking about alcohol being involved, last year when me and my dad and his friend leave the Bristol Night Cup race, these 2 p and it's kinda funny 'cause, some dude said something, but, this guy was yelling at another guy, like, ready to get into it, and I was just waiting to see what happens, and the guy was yelling at him, he's like, "You need to be effing careful, there's kids out here walking, you're gonna run somebody over," and all this, and somebody in the background did a, Dumb and Dumber line, "Kick his ass, Seabass," like, that was funny, I was not expecting that, but
Yeah, there's always
I could
somebody trying
tell
to.
I could tell I could tell, that dude was drunk, like, really drunk,
Yeah, yeah,
and even my dad yelled out, like, "Sober his ass up and get a designated driver to drive." I mean, it's not
yeah.
that hard,
No.
but, in that situation, um, it's it's one of those deals where, people don't go to races to fight other people. They go there to have
No.
fun, enjoy a
Yeah.
race. I mean, but the only thing I can understand besides alcohol getting involved, you will meet asshole people too. There are assholes
Yeah,
out
but that's
there. It's
everywhere. You're gonna meet an
yeah,
asshole at the
it's
grocery
everywhere.
store. You know? That's
Yeah,
that's
it's
the
everywhere.
inevitable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
everywhere.
that
But most
yeah,
of the
that's my
time in
thing
NASCAR
too.
races, everybody's pretty nice, pretty
Yeah,
much. Everybody's pretty nice
I
at
mean
NASCAR race.
I mean, all my closest friends I met at races. If it wasn't for NASCAR, we wouldn't be sitting here talking right now. Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
be friends with Dalton or anybody who I'm really close to this day if it wasn't for NASCAR. So it's like, you know, the sport itself has a unique way, and sports in general have just a unique way of just uniting people and making people
Mhm.
feel bonded and stuff. So that's the last place. That's NASCAR's the last place I ever wanted people to think that wasn't a safe place for people to go or like and stuff. And it was just the
Mhm.
repetitive. I saw more than one tweet from him at the time of like him saying like, "Oh, my dad doesn't want me to go to the races because you know there's people who are racist and like they're people act this way and stuff." And it was just like I was just trying to rebuttal and say like, "Hey, like I understand you haven't been to a race, but like don't put this energy out there because it's the complete opposite and stuff." And it
You're
just
you're you're basically helping them pretty much.
yeah, yeah, I mean, I was just trying to tell him I was like, I've been going to races for 14 years at the time, and I was like and I was just
Mhm.
sharing my perspective, and it got twisted on me, and I got beat up on Twitter and stuff, and so yeah, so I wanted to address that because I feel like that's sometimes when I talk to people, especially people like who have previously followed me and who I followed and stuff, it's kind of like an elephant in the room. Like it's like, oh, like
Y
the Connor guy who was like canceled for this and that, and I was just like, no, like that's I just kind of wanted to explain my side of it. Like I've got no issue with anybody in the NASCAR community. Like I think they're all
Mhm.
great. I watch Jared's videos. I watch Darian's. I watch Danny's. Like I support all those guys. So it's like I've got no issue with anybody, because we're all in this like community and space together and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just kind of want to touch base on that and just because that's the first time I've ever said anything about it. Um, but I feel like it is a lot of times when I run into people who I previously have met and stuff, it is kind of like the elephant in the room because it's just kind of like, I mean, it's been a while ago. Some people forgot about it, but in my mind, I'm like kind of
Mhm.
paranoid sometimes, like, oh, these people like look at me weird, like I'm like some racist or something, when it's just completely not the case.
Yeah, like, for myself, um, like, I never did anything controversial that I know of. But, I mean,
No,
I don't
no.
do anything I don't do anything because 'cause I'm smart in that. Because I know
Yeah,
I know the rights and wrongs from it. But just like you, for example, like with the whole or like the whole issue what's going on, like and there's a difference between people on social media and meeting somebody in person. There's a huge
100%.
difference. And
100%.
I'm always that type of person, like, and I rather meet that person in person to talk to them and
Yeah.
getting to know them because people are hiding on social media typing and all that kind of stuff, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I wanna meet this person and have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
And, because like, there are people out there that even if they see somebody they don't like, they won't interact with that person at all, slash not meet
Right.
up with that person.
Yeah.
But if it's somebody that wants to meet that person, which it also depends on, I mean, it also depends on what they're gonna do, but you also think about, like, this is me coming out and telling you, like, I wanna meet you and talk to you, apologize in person, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Kinda like, with you, Darian, all them guys, like, I think it would be great for you to at least go and talk to them in person and explain at least and, just try to make things better. Make things better.
Yeah, and that's and I've thought about that too because I've seen them on multiple occasions at the track, and it's like I
Mhm.
don't know how they would react if I walked up to them and like tried to have the conversation, and I also didn't know if that was the place for it, for that conversation to be had, or if they even really cared about it. All those things kind of run through my head. But a prime example, like Cody Powers from Left Turn Colt, him and I thought we were gonna hate each other based on social media. We met at Bristol this year, and now
Yeah.
we're really good buds. Now we text like once a week and stuff on the side. And so,
Mhm.
like, it's just like, people come across differently on social media than they do in real life.
Mhm.
Like everybody who I met in the NASCAR community in real life, like I've enjoyed like down to earth, like really, really cool down to earth people and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't like walking around feeling like there's like an asterisk beside my name or like I got baggage or like I'm a hater or anything like that.
Mhm.
Like I genuinely just want to like
Yeah.
be cool with everybody, see everybody happy and enjoy the sport. It's
Yeah.
really all I care about.
Yeah, like, if somebody post something on social media about me, like talking negative about me, I'll be like, "Hey, I'll say my peace of mind in second. Find me at this racetrack. We'll have a discussion about it. If you don't want to meet up or something, then you're basically somebody that just hides behind a phone or
Right.
something, hides behind something. And I'd rather have a conversation between you and me about this situation." And funny enough, Cody, um, he follows me, and I had I post tweets at him sometimes and all that, but we never met. And even though he follows
Yeah.
me and I follow him, but when I was at Bristol Night Race, I could have sworn I saw him, like
You
seen
did,
him,
you probably did. Yeah, he was with us
but
and
I
stuff.
could,
You definitely saw him at one point.
yeah, but I couldn't recognize if it was him. And then
Yeah.
and then that's when I met y'all at the Toyota part
Yeah.
and watched the race, got home, and y'all and Cody and Dalton, when Left Turn Colt did the podcast, and I said, "What's up?" It was fun being at Bristol and meeting y'all guys. And Cody was like, "Was Smoke there? I didn't even see him." I was like, "I didn't
Did you
see
meet him
him. I
at
want to meet him."
did, did you meet him at
Never
Martinsville?
met him. Never
Oh
met him.
man,
I
yeah,
didn't even know he was at Martinsville.
yeah, man, we were hanging out before the race and he was wearing a hot dog costume. He was dressed as Wiener for Martinsville. And but
He
yeah,
was
he
a
was at the
giant
race too.
wiener.
Yeah, I sat by myself, like, right at start finish, kinda like, you and I sat kinda near each other, but
Yeah.
my 2 other friends and Cody and stuff, they sat over kinda near turn 1, so, but yeah, man, they were to be fair, I didn't know Cody was coming until the day of the race too, because I talked to one of my other friends, they're like, "Yeah, Cody's on the way." I was like, "What? I didn't know that." But yeah,
Yeah.
so, yeah,
And
Cody's a good
plus
time,
the
man.
reception.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
the
plus the
reception.
reception is not that good. Not that
No,
good. So I wouldn't know.
especially when you get a lot of when you get a lot of people in there and stuff, nothing starts sending and
Mhm.
everything's slower loading and stuff. But yeah, man.
Yeah, I really wanted I wouldn't mind meeting, Cody for sure. I mean, I met
Nah, they're all good
so many
guys.
people this year.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that is the thing about NASCAR, it's a family sport, and
yeah, man.
it's and that's why I want people to understand about NASCAR, that it is a family sport. You'll have a great time. If it's your first race, you'll have have a great time. You can
Hmm.
meet people, meet drivers, meet friends, and,
Yep.
all that kinds of stuff, and that's what makes NASCAR great. And
Yeah,
even if you're not a fan of the race, guess what always wins at the end of the race? Not just the driver, but the fans, though. Fans
yeah.
always
We all
wins.
win. Always, always.
Yeah.
But
But, but with that kind of situation, it's always best to help people as
yeah,
for somebody who's never been or the reason why what that person thinks of why not going to a race because of that issue. But if
yeah,
it's somebody that has experience, and I'm not knocking Noah at that moment for his dad because that's what he thinks, but as somebody who's been to multiple races in their lifetime will go up to Noah's father would change his mind. And not
yeah,
just for somebody who's been, but other people could change his mind and be like, "Hey, son, let's go to a NASCAR race." But since that has passed on and what Noah Cornelius is going with right now, with the, um, cancel culture with a girl or something saying some terrible things, but
yeah.
that was the last time we ever heard from Noah. So,
Yeah, it's kind of
uh
crazy how all that happened and stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much my thing. Is he had such a following at the time, and I was like, well, I don't want you misleading other people to thinking NASCAR's because personally, it pisses me off when people are like, oh yeah, NASCAR's a redneck sport. It pisses me off when I hear that
yeah,
because I'm like, no, that's
yeah,
that's no, that's stupid. And so to hear the opposite and stuff and to know the following he had, like I just didn't want people to believe it was actually that way. Because when you have a following, like people are gonna take what you say and run with it. So I just wanted to it was really just me like, hey, 14-year NASCAR fan here, been going to races all my life. I'm just chiming in from my perspective. Come out to a race and
thing with
It
muted.
was like a race, and I'll literally show you like how, what it's all about. And so that's really the message I was just trying to get across. But yeah, so
Yeah, but, it's one of those things like, man, just, just it's, you know, always be helpful. Um, you're always a good dude, always been a nice guy to me. Um, haven't, like, stolen my arrows from Skyrim or something, like a video game or
no,
something, or
right,
destroy, some stuff like video games or we play games. I'm just saying.
yeah,
But you're always been a good dude. Noah Cornelius he was great. He was a good guy doing commentating, like his interviewings with that. Like I thought he
yeah.
did a good job with that.
He had a good thing going.
And yeah, he did. He had a good thing going. And now with this issue going on, you look at him differently. And
Yeah,
I look
it's
at him
unfortunate.
differently what happened. But, it's just how it went.
It is what it is. Mistakes are made. Trust me. I mean, we all make them and stuff. But yeah, it's unfortunate for somebody who had something good going for him, and then you know, poor lack of judgment and decision making just kind of makes people change their opinion on you. And so,
Yeah.
trust me, I've been there, done that, and yeah. So I think he's still doing, to my understanding, he's still doing something with the money team. Um, maybe I
Yeah.
think. I'm not too sure,
Yeah.
but I think the last time I saw something, he was like interning with them or whatever. So who knows, man? It's a weird space we're all in. Anybody from outside the NASCAR community doesn't really understand like what it's like for like to be in the community and stuff. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just one of those things you got to experience for yourself. It's literally like I could sit here and talk about it all day long, but it's literally like NASCAR in general is just something everybody has to experience for themselves in order to form a proper opinion.
Yeah, and like it's and like when somebody does something like what just happened, I always keep quiet. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. That's kind of person I am.
Yeah,
And I personally I don't like drama. I don't get into drama, but
yeah,
in those situations, like you met the guy. You met him. I met him in person. I
yeah,
thought he was a good guy, really cool, very knowledgeable guy. Then after hearing all this stuff going on, you're like, man, what just happened? It's
right. I know. It's
crazy
like,
that
whoa.
it's crazy that happened. And second, you don't know how you feel. You don't know what to believe this, to believe that. You don't know how you
Yeah,
feel. And then after all of that going on, I just looked at it and I'm like, I think the best situation for myself is just not interacting with them in general.
yeah. Just disassociate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I hate doing that because you know this person, you talk to him, and then he does that, and you're like, what mindset caused you to do this? And it's
right.
that mindset where I have my problems with mental health and depression and anxiety and all of that,
Yeah,
but my best way in order to get help is to get help. That's what
yeah,
I did. I took my time, I spent my money to get help, and that's what I did. And
yeah,
I go to counseling, I go see psychiatrists every month and have counseling every 2 weeks still, and I'm
yeah,
getting better slowly. I'm getting help like I need it. And I'm on medication too.
yeah,
And but during those times, just if somebody like that just kept on, the more the more you fuck around, the more you'll find out situation.
yeah. For sure, for sure. Yeah,
And
mental health is very much. I mean, it's just as important as physical health. I think I'm a big proponent in that, and I'm glad that that's kind of people are more receptive to wanting to reach out and get help and all that. So I think we've all kind of been there and experienced those own battles in our own life and stuff. I think it's just kind of something everybody experiences once. So, but being able to reach out for help is definitely important, and big fan of that. So I will always be in the corner of that. So yeah,
and there's people out there that have mental problems that needed help, and there's people that they do get help, but it just doesn't do anything. And
yeah,
there's a limit that's far beyond that. That I can, and people have their opinions on it where even though they need help, but there's also people with opinions saying like he's too far gone. That person's too
yeah.
far gone to be getting
It's
help.
never too late.
It's never too late, but there's also people out there that are just far too gone to get
Yeah,
help.
trust me,
They
I'm related to
you
them. So got
Yeah.
them in. At this point in everybody's life, you're either related to someone like that, or you're super close to someone, or you know someone. So it's unfortunate,
Yeah,
and
and yeah, and I have a family member that's like that too.
yeah,
And um but the best, obviously the best situation is to get help even if you're causing uh a mistake that more than likely won't be fixed. It's best to get help before it gets a lot worse.
for sure, for sure, yeah. And just having that strength to take the first step and get help. That's what it's all about. After that,
Yeah.
it all becomes it's like forming a route. It's like forming a new habit or a routine. It's difficult at first, but once you do it, you just notice you feel a whole lot better. Like working out. A lot of people are intimidated to work
Yeah.
out, and they
That's
do it
that's what I
one,
did.
two, three. Yeah, one, two, three times. After that, you kind of form a little bit of habit. You feel good, and you start looking better, and it comes automatic. So, but but yeah, man. So
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I started working out is because of depression and anxiety, and it's been helping a lot for myself. And
yeah,
going to racetracks really helped too. And
yeah,
and I mean, it just pretty much helped me get through things. and through some very tough times, but it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, man. I'm glad it did. I'm glad it did. But well, Nick, I appreciate you having me on and everything. I should probably hop off here. I got work in the morning and stuff. But yeah,
Hmm.
man, dude, this was super fun. I appreciate you having me on and everything. And we covered a lot of topics. I hope everybody enjoyed and stuff. I'm certainly gonna listen to this back again and everything. But dude, it's been an honor. I appreciate it.
No problem. And where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Connor Bunn. And then if you want to, you can find me on Instagram. It's at Connor Bunn two underscores after that. So I'm on the socials if you want to give me a follow and stuff. I'm always on there talking about
Mhm.
NASCAR and different things. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate you, Nick.
Thank you, Connor. Thanks for joining, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Hey,
But
man.
since
Appreciate you.
yeah, I gotta do my part too. But thank
Yeah.
you all so much for watching the Connor Bunn interview. We discuss a lot of topics, some interesting topics and some important topics on this one. I thank you guys. Thank you everyone for sticking around and watching this. But thank you all so much for watching this. If you enjoyed this interview, hit that like button. Also subscribe for more if you want more Carbon Mic Off interviews. You can also follow me on Twitter is Smoke Carbon 13, and also on Instagram at Nicholas Carbon 13. And if you enjoy it, you know, hit the like button and subscribe. And just remember, everyone, I love every single one of y'all. And just remember, stay gold.